Hello, gamers. You're listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 158. And welcome back to another edition of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. I'm Brent Felsing. Joining me tonight, Mr. Benjamin Boyce. Frankie and Bender have the night off, so Boyce and I will be taking you through this week's show. Mr. Boyce, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, dude. I'm a little exhausted after this week. I've pretty much had sensory overload. Like between Destiny and God of War and Avengers, I'm pretty much just at my stimulation capacity right now, man.
Yeah, I feel like my senses are all burned out. It's been one of those weeks, like you mentioned, a lot of stuff. God of War. We got a lot of Destiny 2 news this week with the reveal of Warmind. And then, obviously, Avengers Infinity War came out. I actually just got back from my second showing about a couple hours ago. And, dude, that movie is just... we're not going to talk about the story or the spoilers or anything like that, but it was just a bold decision. Bold choices made in Avengers Infinity War, and I really dug it, man. How about you?
Yeah, I loved it, man. It was I told you before I even saw it, I was like, I feel like my life's been building up to this moment. So that tells you a few things. One, how much of a loser I am, and two, how much I love comics and superheroes. And I grew up with this stuff. And just when I was a kid, man, the idea of a superhero movie, let alone a superhero movie that was good, was like just a fantasy. We had our little outliers here and there, like the original Christopher Reeve Superman, the Tim Burton Batman movies. Those were good for what they were in their day. But to see where superhero movies have come now to the point where not only do we have one good superhero movie, but we've got tons of them. We've got a whole entire universe of good superhero movies, and now they've all collided in this big event film, and it's just it's really cool to see, man. It's really just as a comic fan, I just it's one of those things that just makes you lose your shit, man. So but yeah, I loved Infinity War, and I can't wait to watch it some more and pick it apart and see where things go from here.
Yeah, it's there was a lot to take in. There's a lot going on in that movie, but I feel like the Russo brothers did a good job of kind of guiding us through that movie, because there were so many characters in that movie. It must have been a hell of a challenge for them to be able to balance the scenes out, get everyone their proper screen time, and still deliver a coherent movie. And I think they did that. I think they did a really, really good job, considering all things considered, having to juggle all those characters. I thought they did a great job with that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. For a movie that was pushing 2 hours and 40 minutes, it was a very brisk film. It did not feel like a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah, and it didn't waste any time getting into. I mean, when the movie starts, you're hitting the ground running, and it's just, hang on, folks. There's a lot to take in. There's a lot to go over, but it was an awesome movie. And judging by the receipts, it sounds like this thing's going to shatter some records. If not, could be the biggest launch ever. So that's
that would if it manages to overtake The Force Awakens, I'll be very surprised. I mean, obviously this movie was tracking it incredibly prior to its release, but man, when The Force Awakens hit that 250 million or whatever it was at that hit its first weekend, I didn't think we'd ever see anything come close to that, at least nothing anytime soon. And to think that Infinity War might have a chance to do that is pretty crazy.
I think I remember reading earlier today it was tracking at about 235 million. So that was earlier today. That could have changed depending on how it does tonight and how it does tomorrow. But it's going to get close. It's going to be close, and I mean, man, that's just the first week, and who knows where this thing's going to end up in its total sales? Who knows?
Yeah, its overseas tickets have been selling exceptionally well.
Hmm.
Thursday night alone, it pulled almost 40 million just on Thursday night preview screenings.
Yep.
I mean, the theaters were basically standing room only for every screening of the show, so it's there's no doubt it's gonna just pull some incredible numbers, and yeah, maybe it has a chance to dethrone the Force Awakens. That's pretty wild.
We will find out very, very soon. But let's talk about what we've been playing, man. What have you been playing this week? Let's talk about the Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight real quick.
So Tuesday night we fired up the Swords of Ditto, and this game's really really cool, Brent. First and foremost, the first thing you notice when you fire it up is its beautiful style. The game is colorful. It's got this almost animation cell look to it
Hmm.
in terms of its presentation, and even the character animations, the way you attack enemies and move from place to place are really neat. So just the presentation, the soundtrack's cool as well. Just when you hop into the game, you're like, man, this game looks awesome. I want to get into this. I want to play it, see what it's all about. It's very heavily inspired by Zelda, specifically things like A Link to the Past and the original 2D Zelda games or overhead Zelda games. So there's a lot of that in here. The way you move through dungeons, the way you kind of attack enemies, and the real time action adventure combat and whatnot. It's got this. I really like the lore and the kind of world that they've built around the Swords of Ditto as well.
Hmm.
It revolves around this witch who shows up every 100 years and kind of wreaks havoc on this town. And the person who wields the sword is the one who can, eventually face her and have a chance to take her out. So and there's some other stuff that goes into it as well, but I like the lore. I like where the story's going. There's some interesting mechanics about you only have a certain amount of days before you have to face the witch, and I didn't get to play through an entire sequence to see how that all plays out because I was dying and having to be reborn. But every time you die, you wake up as a new bearer of the Sword of Ditto 100 years into the future. So basically, you die, the witch kind of I guess she wins for that period of time, and then 100 years pass, and then she reappears again, and you have a new bearer of the sword.
Huh.
So you take the mantle of the Sword of Ditto, and you try and rid the world of what is her name? Mormo, I think Mormo. That's the witch's name. So rid the world of Mormo once and for all. So there's a lot of other stuff that I didn't really get there seems to be quite a bit of depth to this game. There's towns and people you can talk to and quests and different things, and I would imagine some secrets that you can discover as well. So I didn't get to dive into all the nitty gritty aspects of it, but from what I played of it was really really fun. I just I just really like the overall package of the Swords of Ditto. It makes me want to get into it and play some more. So, bravo to One Bit Beyond and Devolver Digital for putting out another, Class A title from what I've played, the brief time that I've played of it. But it seems like something you'd get into as well, Brent. I really dig this game. I think you'll dig it as well. But it's something I want to play some more of, and first impression is very positive for the Swords of Ditto.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Yeah, I watched a little bit of the stream. I was able to catch up to it after I got done editing up. We have another series we're going to talk about here in a second, but I was able to check it out, and it seemed like a pretty cool little game.
Yeah.
And like you said, a beautiful art style. I didn't get to see any of like the combat that you engaged in. Like I said, I was kind of occupied, but from what I saw, it looked pretty good. So I'm glad to hear that game delivered on what you were hoping for.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool, man. Like I said, just the way it's presented, it just kind of draws you. It's one of those games that just the style of it just kind of pulls you. And you're like, I really want to like this game just because of the way it presents itself.
Yeah.
And thankfully, it's got some cool stuff going for it as well once you get into it. So I definitely got to play some more of the Swords of Ditto, but it's been very well received across the industry. Pretty much, it's been critically praised.
Hmm.
Gamers seem like they're enjoying it as well. So I think it's a pretty safe bet that the Swords of Ditto is at least worth a look,
Okay.
if not, a significant chunk of your time at some point in the future.
Awesome. So, so you got that out of the way, and then we also got some Destiny 2 in this week. You and I hopped in there, knocked out some milestones with Bender, and then after two failed attempts at the Prestige Nightfall yet again, we weren't able to pull it out. But what do you think about Destiny 2 this week, man?
It's fun as always, dude. It's I love getting in there with you guys, doing the milestones. I love working at the Prestige Nightfall. Actually, even though we've yet to actually complete it, I really like the challenge that it's presenting to us.
Mm-hmm.
One of these nights, I'd like us to just get in there and just I would just hammer it away for as long as it takes us to beat one of these prestige nightfalls. I feel like we're getting close.
Hmm.
We're getting a little bit better in terms of how we handle these things. And we can adjust the modifiers and stuff as well. Maybe we need to lower the handicap a little bit for our kind of first go around. But we had the 2 times debuff or whatever on there, damage penalty on us. We had the, what were we doing, solar burn or
Or no,
arc?
arc
It was
singe.
arc,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah, so we had the arc burn on or arc singe, and obviously the team wipe. You go back to orbit once everybody dies. So that's the killer, obviously, in the prestige
Hmm.
nightfall. That's what takes you out of the game. So, but yeah, dude, I've been having a lot of fun with that. I've been hopping into the Crucible as well. There's a few things that I need to try and wrap up before this season ends. So in season 2, I'm missing one ornament from the Crucible,
Hmm.
and it's winning 25 competitive matches.
Mm.
So I've been playing a little bit of competitive here and there when I have a minute. Got a few more wins in, trying to see if I can scratch away at that. Competitive's awesome though, man. Like you said before, without the tracker, it's really a brand new experience. It's a lot of fun hopping in there, playing survival and countdown on those maps. And then once Iron Banner rolls around on Tuesday, which it returns, thankfully, this will be the last Iron Banner of the season. The final week of the season is I got to try to get that chest ornament, man.
Yes.
That's gonna be the bugaboo. So I'm planning to spend a lot of time in Destiny this upcoming week. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun, man, with all of the changes that are upcoming, with all of the stuff that's being added with Warmind, what's being talked about for the September expansion. I'm very, very excited about this game, and I'll probably be playing it even more than I do right now, which is scary. So yeah, but I'm having a blast.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Had a good time playing again this week, despite losing. I am still pissed at myself for costing us that the second Nightfall run. I tried to be a hero, and I cost us the match. So I do. I'm still carrying that weight on my shoulders. That really, seriously,
Yeah.
that pissed me off so bad.
It's killing us, man, because we're getting to the final boss of the strike,
Yep.
and we're there. We're like fighting the boss. We just can't close the deal.
Yep.
It's happened multiple times now.
Yeah.
And we're like right there.
We're
We just
getting
need
there.
to.
We're inching
Yeah,
towards victory. We'll
yeah.
get there at some point. So,
Yeah.
man, I forgot Iron Banner is this week. That's awesome, and it's the last week, dude. This is the last week
This is it, man.
before Warmind drops. We're gonna have a bunch of new content next
crazy.
week.
It's crazy.
Oh my
And
god!
it's a lot too. It's a lot of new stuff.
Yeah.
Coming with Warmind.
And we actually started a series, boys. You and I did, and we've actually had Bender on as well. We started a series called Tower Talk, where we talk extensively about Destiny 2. We don't have a set schedule yet. We're trying to make it weekly. It just depends on what's going on in the world of Destiny, and obviously there's a lot going on right now with the announcement of Warmind, the breakdown of Warmind. We've got 3 episodes of Tower Talk up right now on our YouTube channel and on our Twitch channel as well. Go over those, check those out. Like I said, we broke down the Warmind reveal trailer. We've talked about the exotics, the changes that are coming to the exotics. We've talked about quite a bit of stuff on Tower Talk, and what that does is it allows us to pull it off the podcast and kind of give it the attention it deserves in a more personal setting where it's just strictly Destiny 2. So yeah, you can make sure you check those out. But boys, what are your thoughts on the Tower Talk and how we hope to approach that going forward?
I'm having a lot of fun doing Tower Talk with you and with Bender and with whoever else we get on there in the future. But I love talking Destiny, and it allows us to really just hone our focus in on whatever's going on in the world of Destiny on that program. I know a lot of people that listen to this show like to listen to us talk about Destiny, so it's good that we now have a place where all that stuff can go, and it doesn't take up 20-30 minutes of the podcast while we're talking about that every week. It gives us an outlet for that, so we can really, like you said, focus on it and give it the time that it deserves. So yeah, so I'm having a lot of fun with Tower Talk. I hope you guys enjoy listening to it. We'd love to hear your feedback on it as well, so that we can continue to improve what we're doing on it. But between the evolution of Destiny 2 video that we did in the 3 Tower Talk episodes that we already have in the can, we've been talking Destiny a lot, and Bungie's been giving us a lot of stuff to talk about. It seems like that's gonna be that way for the foreseeable future as we go through season 2 and build up to season 3. In fact, there's a bunch of other stuff that's come out in the past couple of days that we haven't even had a chance to talk about yet. So it just kind of keeps rolling with Tower Talk. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun, and I hope the listeners and the fans of Short Pause are enjoying it as well.
Indeed. Yeah, it's a lot of fun being able to sit down and talk Destiny 2 with you and not have to worry about, do people want to listen to us talk about Destiny for this long? We're playing, it's out there right there on the thing. It's called Tower Talk. So that's
Yeah,
what we'll be doing going forward. You should probably expect another show this week. Actually, yeah, as Ben just mentioned, there's some new details that have come out regarding exotics, some new stuff that has come out that we're going to want to talk about. And then I believe next week, boys, I wanted to pitch this to you. I might as well pitch it to you right now. How would you like to
sounds good.
do
A live pitch.
a live pitch of a live episode of Tower Talk Monday night, where we kind of just talk about what we're hoping to see from Warmind, kind of like a pre-launch discussion. Even though Warmind won't go available until like 1 o'clock the next day,
Yeah.
typically that's when it goes live. But we'll do something possibly maybe next Monday where we'll do like a live Tower Talk. Maybe get some of our Destiny 2 comrades in the Short Pause Guardians can join us in the chat and talk about what they're excited about with the approaching Warmind.
Yeah, I think we should definitely do that, man.
Cool. So make sure you stay tuned to Short Pause Gaming on YouTube, Twitch, and Mixer. If we do anything live, it'll be on all three of those channels, Short Pause Gaming. All right, let's go
Definitely.
on from Destiny 2 to talk about the one game we've all been playing, Sans Bender. That is God of War. I have spent a considerable amount of time with God of War. I know you just started playing God of War recently. You're about 4 or 5 hours into the game. Frankie has actually just gotten ahead of me. He sent me a text earlier today.
Wow.
All he said earlier, dude, and like because he's on the mission just after the one I completed, and all he wrote to me was, "Holy shit, get ready!" And I was like, "Oh boy, I can't wait." So that'll be tomorrow night after the podcast editing. After I get this podcast out, I'll be jumping in there. Hopefully, get to the spot where Frankie is. But we're all pushing through the game right now. And boys, I want to come to you first. I know we're really, really excited for God of War. Give me your initial impressions of God of War.
Yeah, dude. Speaking of Frankie, he sent me a message earlier today too, and he said, "You remember how Last of Us was the 10 out of 10 masterpiece for the PlayStation 3?
Oh
He
boy.
says that's God of War for the PlayStation 4.
Oh my.
So,
Wow.
yeah. So I have finally got to start God of War, man. It's been a journey just to start this game. It's seemingly been one thing after another that's been coming up for me. This past week, as I've tried to sit down and play the game, I expect it to be much further along in the game than I am right now. But I've started it. I have gotten several hours into it, and, whew, man, this game is f***ing sweet. So it's man, it's so crazy to see how this game has evolved from the God of Wars of the past. I mean, just to see it take this step into just it's just on a completely different level right
Mhm.
now with what they've done here. And I love the way the game starts out. You get into the story, you're kind of learning the game, and you see this kind of relationship between Kratos and his son. And then you start to get your first taste of the combat. And very early on, man, you have um just an incredibly epic boss fight
Mhm.
that's very early on in the game, and it's just like, wow. It was like one of the coolest boss fights I had played in a very long time. And it's just right in the beginning of the game, get you into the swing of things. It's really where the game starts to ramp up, and the story starts to take some interesting turns. And it's just man, it's such a cool game right now. I've been playing it on the what do you call it, the resolution mode, I guess.
Mhm.
And that this game looks absolutely incredible. This has to be the best looking video game I've ever played. It has to be. But just the 4K mode, or the resolution mode on the PS4 Pro, runs flawlessly, and it looks stunning
Mhm.
on a 4K display. I haven't even tried the performance mode. But I'm really enjoying the game as it is right now. I feel like maybe my goal would be to play through this in the resolution mode, and then maybe give it another go in the performance mode and see how that changes the game. But I really like the way it plays. In the frame rate is locked and smooth. The visuals are just drop dead gorgeous, and it's just such a cinematic game that it plays really well in the resolution mode right now. So yeah, enjoying that immensely. The no cuts in the camera is just a really cool way to direct your video game. So, kudos to Barlog and the team at Sony Santa Monica for pulling something like this off. I mean, they created a 30-hour video game with no camera cuts. It's so, rolling from cinematic to gameplay to story. It's really cool so far how everything's gone down. The game is tough early on. I took your advice, and the first part of that advice was play the game on resolution mode, so I'm doing that. The second part of that advice was play the game on give me a challenge. So I was like, all right, so I'll play it, and man, the game's tough. I've been getting my ass kicked. Probably should have not listened to you on that one and gone with the difficulty above it. But yeah, the combat is incredibly rewarding when you figure out the weaknesses of an enemy, or the best way to kill a particular type of enemy, or you finally conquer a boss or something like that. It feels really good once you discover that all the enemies have certain patterns and
Hmm.
different weaknesses and things you've got to try and figure out. So it's just it's an awesome video game so far, man. I'm only a little bit into it, but it's definitely lived up to the hype for me so far, and I know you're way further than I am. So I know you've got a lot more stuff to talk about.
Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you, give me a challenge is very, very difficult early on. I'm not going to lie.
Mhm.
I started there as well, and it is very difficult. I died a lot early on.
Dude,
However,
there's one particular fight where you fight like an enhanced version of like the regular enemies that you meet early on in the
mhm.
game. I died at that battle so many times, so many times. I lost count. It took me forever to get past that part. This was just like regular enemies that I was fighting,
Uh-huh.
but I finally persevered though. Anyways, go on.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult early on, but as you unlock Kratos' skills tree, he's got a pretty extensive skill tree that has a lot of
Yeah.
perks to it. Once you start to unlock those, the combat eases up a little bit, even on Give Me a Challenge. Like I said, it's incredibly difficult early on, but my having played as much as I have now, I'm glad I went this route because the fights are still are challenging, but they feel fair. Like they don't. It doesn't feel unfair. It feels balanced. I'm glad I did it because I have a feeling had I gone with the step down, it almost I'd be concerned that it'd be almost a little bit too much in my favor. Like I like a good challenge back and forth. I don't mind dying as long as I'm learning, and once I learn, I succeed. That I'm cool with, and that's what you're gonna have here. But once you start unlocking his skills, and once you start working Atreus into the combat, Atreus has perks of his own for his bow and arrow. Like one of them, I think,
Hmm.
if you have an enemy in the air, his arrows will do more damage. So you want to work that into your combos. Use the heavy attack to knock the enemy in the air, then really hammer the trigger for him to shoot the arrows and do the extra
Hmm.
damage. That keeps the enemy up in the air longer, and then you just keep wailing on him. So there's a lot to the combat in this game. It's actually
Yeah.
far deeper than anything I played in a God of War game. I thought God of War 3's combat was really, really fun, very fluid,
Hmm.
very deep. But God of War is a completely different beast in terms of its combat, and it'll take some adjusting to get used to it. But I really think Give Me a Challenge is the way to play this game.
Yeah. I was surprised at how robust the skill trees and the upgrade system was
Hmm.
for Kratos as well. At least early on in the game, from what I've seen, seems like it's going to be pretty in depth. And yeah, the combat is very it's fun and it's fast and it's fluid, but it's also nuanced and takes skill, and
Hmm.
you have to be measured in the way that you do things. And there's so many different strategy and things that get added into it when you have your son and the different upgrades that you have coming into play as well. So
Hmm.
yeah, the combat is spectacular so far.
And then the other parts about the game that I think is the most impressive, and you mentioned one of them, is that the no cutscenes, or everything is just transitioned seamlessly. Everything's just one big take, and that is one of the things about the game where I will lose track of time of what I'm doing, because not only, I mean, the combat's great, and I'll talk about the world in a second, but when the only time you see a load screen is when you die, you can lose track of time because you're just constantly playing. These cutscenes play out, and then it just transitions back to gameplay seamlessly, and it just keeps going and going and going. And you're just like, "Oh, what time is it? It's like 3 a.m. I gotta go to bed." But so that's one of the things I think it's impressive about it. Like you said, technically speaking, that's really impressive. But man, as much as I like the combat, and the combat is very, very good, and as much as
Hmm.
I like this Kratos is more subdued, more mature, and just a better. I think he's a better Kratos because he's got some depth to him. But my gosh, the world in this game This might be one of the best worlds I've ever explored in a video game. There are
Mm.
secrets in every single area. Sony Santa Monica did not just create worlds. Everyone they talked about. It's a linear game where you can wander off the path a little bit. You are rewarded heavily for wandering off the path, for exploring every nook and cranny. There is stuff hidden everywhere in this game, and,
Mhm.
and it's a beautifully created world. I mean, it is gorgeous. Going to these different realms, and each of them distinct in their own way. It's a gorgeous game. It looks absolutely fantastic, like you mentioned, in 4K with HDR. I mean, it's mind blowing. I actually played performance mode when I was streaming God of War. I streamed it earlier this week for a good hour and a half, and I did
Mhm.
that in performance mode because I was on my monitor here, and I was like, well, I might as well go for performance. I can't get the 4K and HDR. Game runs like a charm in performance mode. I
Mhm.
was really concerned. I was almost certain. I was like, I'm not going to play this in performance mode because after Digital Foundry showed it, it's an uncapped frame rate, and it's a variable frame rate. It shifts back and forth depending on what's going on screen. And they showed some drops here and there. I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to like that because I don't like that. When I played in performance mode, there was nothing that I was like, oh my god, that caused me to die, or that's really noticeable. I didn't notice anything. Like if there are drops, they're very subtle, and you can't really tell, especially during combat. That game running at an uncapped frame rate in some instances, mostly in the mid 50s and the 50s, something like that, looks gorgeous. Looks absolutely gorgeous in motion like that. But when I'm over on the TV, I don't. I'm like you mentioned, it plays well at 30 frames. It feels good. The combat feels great. I got to go with that 4K HDR. It's just that, like you said, it's a beautiful world, and there's so
Mhm.
many differences between each realm. You just got to take it all in for its beauty. But overall, really like God of War. Like, I really like God of War. This game is absolutely fantastic from what I played so far. I know Frankie wants to talk about it, so we're not going to go too deep into it right now. But
Mhm.
we're once we probably in a week or two, we're going to get everyone together. We're going to sit down and have a real good discussion about God of War because, in my opinion, it is an incredibly special game. It's challenging. It's beautiful. The story's great. The bosses are awesome. The scope and scale of this game is incredible. There are some bosses you're going to come up to, boys. Your mind's going to be blown, and it's just the vistas that you explore. Some of them are just absolutely incredible. Loving this game big time. Can't wait to play more of it. Looking forward to talking about it extensively with you and Frankie.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm looking forward to playing some. I mean, just hearing you and Frankie and just seeing you guys with the holy shit text and all this kind of stuff. Like this is, it's like you never know what's gonna be around the next corner. That's what Santa Monica has endeavored to keep intact for this game. They've tried to keep people away from spoilers and showing too much of the game pre-release, and they've done a great job of that so that when we're all going through this game we can experience it as it's meant to be experienced. And yeah, this is going to be I think it's pretty safe to say this is going to be one of the rare games that lives up to the hype, maybe even exceeds it. But I've had a great time with it so far. I know you and Frankie are way ahead of me, and I know you guys are enjoying it as well, so I can't wait to get some more time in with God of War. It like you said, it just has the makings of a very special title.
Mm-hmm. So make sure you stay tuned. We will definitely talk about God of War extensively here shortly. Once we get Frankie back here and Boyce gets a little further ahead, we'll have a lot to talk about because that game is really good. All right, boys, let's get into the spotlight titles. But first, I know we've got some games with gold announcements and PlayStation Plus announcements for May.
Yeah, let's touch on those before we get to what's coming out this week. So, the Games with Gold lineup for May has been revealed, and it is as follows: Super Mega Baseball 2, a brand new title, will be available. I believe this is the day it comes out. So,
Mm-hmm.
May 1st to the 31st for the Xbox One. So, you'll get that day and date as a Games with Gold game this month. And then Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. The obviously the swan song for Metal Gear Solid, the very well received Phantom Pain. That'll be available for the Xbox One from May 16th through June 15th. Over on the 360 backwards compatibility side of things, the Sega Vintage Collection Streets of Rage, which houses all three Streets of Rage games for the Genesis, will be available from May 1st to the 15th. And Vanquish, the very well received, well loved Platinum Games joint from the 360 PS3 era, will be available from May 16th to the 31st. And of course, once again, both of those 360 titles are backwards compatible on the Xbox One. Brent, your thoughts on this lineup?
We were talking about before the show about Super Mega Baseball too, how it was the first one was well received, and it's something that we
Yeah,
thought looked pretty cool. It looked like a pretty fun baseball game,
yeah,
and this is something I think this is a strong entry. Metal Gear Solid 5. I mean, what more can be said about that? Metal Gear Solid 5
yeah.
is, Kojima's swan song. It's his masterpiece. And then I'm not Sega Vintage Collection Streets of Rage is what it is, but I'm very very interested in Vanquish. I know I played a little bit of it back in the day, and I really enjoyed what I played. So I would say this is a very, very strong lineup for Games with Gold.
Yeah, I agree. This is a strong lineup. You mentioned Vanquish, you mentioned Metal Gear Solid. Those are both revered titles, and then to get Super Mega Baseball to day and date on the service is awesome. And yeah, I like arcade baseball games. While I didn't get to play Super Mega Baseball, I'm definitely interested in firing up Super Mega Baseball too at some point. You say that 5 times fast, Super Mega Baseball. So, yeah, definitely interested in playing this at some point. Maybe we can get in and get a few games in. I would like to get some arcade baseball in one of these days.
I'm down.
So with Games with Gold comes PlayStation Plus, which we've also got that lineup revealed. So these titles will be available on Tuesday. Starting first with the PS4 games, we've got Beyond Two Souls. This is the PS4 remake, or and I don't know if it was a remake or I don't know what exactly they did to this game,
Hmm.
but maybe it's just an up-res version of the PlayStation 3 version. But Beyond Two Souls, interesting title to put in the May PS Plus lineup because Detroit is a late May game. So if you want to get an idea of what Quantic Dream is all about or how one of their past titles has worked, Beyond Two Souls will give you a glimpse of that. So a good title for the lineup this month. And then Rayman Legends, which many people herald as one of the best platformers of this generation, will be available for the PlayStation 4 as well. On the PS3 side of things, Arisen 3 Titan Lords and Eat Them will be available on there. And then on the Vita side of things, Furmans and then King Oddball, which is actually cross-buy with the PS3 and PS4 as well. So you will get 3 games on the PS4 and PS3 this month for PlayStation Plus. Brent, your thoughts on this lineup?
Another good lineup here. I mean, I really enjoyed Heavy Rain. I actually never played Beyond Two Souls, so it's a good game for this lineup because I haven't played it. Finally, another Plus game that I have not played or owned. I did own Beyond Two Souls on the PS3 because we got the Steelbook, but I never played it on on the PS4. So I'm really excited that I'll finally be able to get a game that I don't already own. Rayman Legends. I love Rayman. Rayman games are fun. PS3 games are relevant to me. And the Furmans and King Oddball both look interesting, but I still think the PS4 titles are the big takeaways here.
Yeah, definitely. King Oddball is a kind of an Angry Bird style puzzle game where you're trying to physics based smash through stuff.
Hmm.
So that game looks like a good bit of fun. But yeah, Beyond Two Souls and Rayman Legends, this the star here. Rayman Legends, obviously just a great platformer that's been very well received over the years. So awesome to get that in the lineup here. Beyond Two Souls, I've never played as well. I'm in the same boat. Would like to experience it at some point. So it's great that we will have that as a part of the Plus lineup for May. So strong lineups for May for both Games with Gold and PlayStation Plus. Those will to be available this coming Tuesday on May 1st. All right, let's get to the spotlight releases that are going to come out this week, Brent. We're actually going to highlight a couple of things that are already out. So Lightfall actually is available now on the Nintendo Switch. This came out
Friday.
a couple days ago.
Thursday
Yeah.
or Friday.
Yeah, Thursday or Friday. So a couple days ago, Lightfall hit the Switch, and this is a really really cool looking platformer. You play as this character, and you can create these platforms that you use to get from point A to point B to scale up levels or to avoid enemies and obstacles, all that kind of stuff. Bender played this at when he went to PAX, I believe. Really,
Mhm.
really liked the game. Was on his radar, so I know he was looking forward to this one. Now available on the Switch. It's coming to other platforms in the future, but it's available on the Switch first. Available now. Brent, you been following this one at all? This one of any interest to you?
I actually picked it up
Cool.
because Benner spoke so highly of it, and Frankie was telling
Yeah.
me that's something that I dig, and it is a very, very cool game so far. For when I played him early in it, though, I'm not very far along, but I do like the mechanics of it. You can create up to, I believe, 4 platforms before, like, you jump. You hit
Hmm.
jump again, the platform appears, you jump, and when you jump again, another one will appear, the other one goes away, and you can do it up to 4 or 5 times, I believe, and then you have to land on the ground in order to reset that. So
Gotcha.
it can be very very challenging. I can see how this game would be built for speedrunners in mind because
Hmm.
you can get through these levels really quickly if you get the controls down. But again, very very early in the game, Bender would probably be a better person to talk about it. But no, I think it's an interesting game and plays pretty good on the Switch, so I dig it.
Hmm. Yeah, we'll have to get his thoughts next time he's on the show. Love the aesthetic of this game
Yeah,
too.
yep.
How's it look on the Switch screen?
Looks
Pretty good.
good. Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
really really good. Sounds good, and it plays very well on the Switch as well.
So is it more of just a puzzle platformer? Are there like enemies that you're trying to eliminate as well? Is there any action elements to this?
Yeah, there are some enemies. Again, this is early on. There's just like some very small enemies, and you have like another ability that allows you to kind of like blast through something or blast through an object, and you can take out enemies through that. You use the platforms to block certain lasers that are blocking your path, so you
Hmm.
gotta do that. There are some hidden rooms that you can find that will actually require, or that's kind of got some puzzle elements to it. So yeah, there are some puzzle elements to the game.
Nice. This definitely looks like a game right up my alley. It's
Oh
something
yeah.
I will be trying to experience at some point in the future here. So Lightfall available now on the Switch. Also available now, Detroit Become Human actually has a demo that released a couple days ago on the PlayStation 4. You can actually get in there and play through the opening hostage situation in the game right now. And you and I were talking before the show, Brent, but I was telling you I've decided that I'm not going to play the demo. I already know that I want this game. I already know I'm going to buy it. I already know I'm going to have it in the collection at some point. I've already seen this particular scene played out at
Hmm.
least 3 or 4 times at different demos and press conferences over the years. So I feel like I have a good idea of what the hostage situation is all about, and I don't really want to get the demo and then hop into the game and then get engrossed in it and be like, "This is awesome," and then the demo ends and I gotta wait a month to play the rest of the game. There's so much other stuff going on right now that I don't really want to put that on my plate right now. So the game has gone gold, which is awesome. So no
Hmm.
more delays. We're getting the game at the end of May. The demo is out now for those of you that are on the fence with it. That's awesome. For myself though, I'm sold on what Detroit could possibly be at this point. So I'm gonna hold off on the demo. And sounds like you might be doing the same.
Yeah, just because I mean we've seen some of the outcomes, we've seen
Yeah,
some of the decisions, but we know there's a lot more you can do in these situations, and I'd rather just kind of explore that when the game comes out. Play it from there. I don't want to spoil anything for myself. So plus there's just dude, we got so much to play right now with God of War and Destiny 2 coming up. There's no real reason
yeah,
to jump into this.
yeah, yeah. I'm with you. So demo available now. Beyond Two Souls also will be available. So to give you an idea what Quantic Dream's all about, and then Detroit at the end of this month, it's gone gold now. So yeah, looking forward to that one. All right, the other titles we want to spotlight this week on Tuesday, Killing Floor Incursion comes to PlayStation VR. This is an interesting one, Brent. I actually never played Killing Floor 2. I know you did, and I know
Uh-huh.
you enjoyed your time with it.
Hmm.
But this one sounds like the first time that they're actually making like a fully fleshed out story in the Killing Floor universe, or at least on consoles, and
Hmm.
they're putting it in this VR setting. And sounds like there's going to be some big bosses and some different some really like intense VR stuff that's going on here with Killing Floor Incursion. They seems like a pretty intense franchise to put into virtual reality. So I'm curious, man, is this something that's interesting you at all to get into Killing Floor in a VR setting?
Yeah, I'm always down for something new in VR because VR is still a medium that I want to see it expand. I want to see it evolve more. And Killing Floor, man, from what I remember playing Killing Floor 2, that game was super fast and super intense. And I'm
Yeah.
curious to see how that transitions over to PlayStation VR. Are they gonna have to slow it down because it's VR? How will the game play? I don't think there's any PlayStation aim control, which is kind of disappointing. I
Yeah.
believe I remember seeing. I think it's Move controllers are in it, so I guess that's cool.
Yeah, his move controllers.
But for a game that's first person shooter, it's disappointing not to see the aim controller. It could be added in at some date, later on down the line. But I liked Killing Floor 2, and I might be interested to check this out somewhere down the line.
Yeah, I don't know what other platforms this is on, but the PlayStation version has a bonus level as well.
Hmm.
That's a part of it. But I like what did they say in here? When Killing Floor Incursion launches for PlayStation VR on May 1st, you'll learn who Colin is, why Foster is a giant head, and just how scary four-story genetically engineered monsters can be.
Oh wow,
So
four story.
yeah, just reading that. So you're gonna be in there fighting a monster that's 4 stories tall in virtual reality. So it's gonna be like you're fighting a monster that's 4 stories tall. It's gonna be towering over you in virtual reality. That sounds like that might be kind of cool, man.
Well, man, if it's anything like in Farpoint, there was a huge boss battle that I encountered there that was probably 4 stories tall and scared the living
Yeah,
hell out of me. So
yeah.
that is very appealing because that's the type of stuff in VR that when you get that scope and scale of something
Mhm.
massive like that in VR and you're in the same space as that creature, that's a terrifying experience, and it's just makes it much more immersive and much more terrifying when you're actually there with it.
I agree. Scale is one of the things that VR can impart, obviously better than traditional gaming, and I think that's one of the elements that, these especially these big like action games that are being brought over to VR, like that's what the one aspect like they can really hone in on and really differentiate the experience from other things that you can get on normal console gaming is that sense of scale and that sense of just the epicness that you can convey with a 4-story monster standing in front of you, just bearing down on you as you try to eliminate it. So that sounds awesome. If you're listening to the show prior to Tuesday, Killing Floor Incursion has a 20% discount if you pre-order it. So if you're at all interested in this game, make sure you get on there and pre-order it. And same thing for Guns of Icarus Alliance, which comes to PS4 on Tuesday. This is not a VR title. This is a regular PlayStation 4 title. But Guns of Icarus brings the popular PC franchise over to the PlayStation 4 with cross-platform both play and talk. So
Hmm.
one of the things that I understand about this game is it's been popular on PC, but it's a team based like airship combat game,
Hmm.
and each airship houses 4 people on it, and each person on the ship has a separate job and things that they need to do on there. So the one of the kind of driving design principles for Guns of Icarus was this focus on gameplay and the need to rely on your teammates in order to be successful. So when they were bringing this game over to PlayStation 4, they took that to heart and they wanted to make sure that the PS4 players can play with the PC players and not only play with them but be able to talk to them as well,
That's
so
awesome.
that they can flesh out their teamwork to the best of their abilities. So Guns of Icarus Alliance coming to PlayStation 4 this Tuesday. What do you think about this one, Brent?
I actually didn't know much about it until before the show when you mentioned it,
Yeah.
and like this game actually looks really really fun. You're in these airships and you're doing battle. Sometimes it's PvP. Then there's also PvE events that you can get involved in.
Hmm.
And there's 4 players on each ship, and everyone, like you said, has a role. Somebody has to steer the ship. People have to man the guns. I think there's a repair person running around that's supposed to repair the
Yeah.
ship. So there's like and you made a good comparison before the show. It's like it's as if the Sea of Thieves took place in an airship above the in the skies above as opposed on the ground when it comes to combat scenarios. You got everyone on the
Hmm.
ship doing their job. Everyone's trying to work as a unit, calling stuff out, repairing the ship, calling out where the enemies are, people working the guns. It looks actually like a really really interesting game, and I think it'd be kind of cool if you, me, Frankie, and Bender we all hopped in there, did a short pause
Hmm.
stream, all 4 of us played cooperatively. This could be a lot of fun, dude.
Yeah, we were talking about that before the show, and I would love to make that happen. So if we can get the whole squad together and get a Guns of Icarus stream going at some point, we will do that and deliver that to you. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in this one. I think I'm gonna put the pre-order in for it because I do wanna see what this is all about because people on the PC have spoken very highly of this game and of this experience. So definitely seems like one that if we can get the whole crew together would be a lot of fun to get in there and experience. So once again, Guns of Icarus is on Tuesday. It has a pre-order discount available now. So if you're interested in it, I think it's only $15 normally. So the
Hmm.
pre-order discount, it's 11, $12 or something like that.
Hmm.
You can hop in there and get the game if you're at all interested in it. Now, Brent, the final game we're going to spotlight here that's coming out this week is a game I didn't even realize was coming out this week. That's how detached I am from everything that's been going on post God of War and Infinity War and Destiny. So, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze comes to the Switch on this Friday. I'm very interested in this title. I love Donkey Kong Country. They're some of my favorite games on the Super Nintendo. I missed out on these games on the Wii, so to see this game or the Wii U, so to see these games coming over or this particular one coming over to the Switch, and being able to experience a franchise that I really really like on the Switch in all of its platforming glory is pretty appealing to me. I understand this game's pretty tough, so it's a very difficult platformer from what I understand. I believe this is retro. who developed this. This was one of their projects after Metroid Prime. But Brent, you got any fond memories of Donkey Kong Country? You ever play these on the Super NES or on the any of the Wii systems?
I think I did back in the day in the SNES. I think I played one there, but I don't remember it very well. And I
Mhm.
think I actually, gosh, I want to say I had a copy of it on the Wii U for a little bit. I can't remember if it's something I picked up right away or I traded it back in when I sold the system. But
Mhm.
no, I've always been interested. I always liked how when I see the videos, how you can launch them from cannons across the map, not just in the air, but like across the map, kind of like a
Yeah.
3D jump. I always thought
Mhm.
that stuff was really cool looking. So no, I've never played Tropical Freeze. I know a lot of people speak very highly of it, and it's something I am going to take a hard look at on Friday.
Yeah, it's something I'd like to play at some point. It's not in the cards right now for me. This is something that I'm gonna look to pick up sometime in the future. Like I said, I didn't even realize it was coming out this Friday. That's pretty wild. But yeah, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze Friday, May 4th on the Switch. And Brent, that's gonna do it for the spotlight releases this week. Obviously, there's a bunch of other stuff coming out as well, but those are the titles that we wanted to hone in on for May 1st.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. And let's get into the news, man. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about here is something that we didn't have a show last week, but we do want to talk about, and that's the Call of Duty news, specifically regarding Black Ops 4 and how it will not feature a single player campaign.
Mm.
So this broke, but Polygon first came with this story after I think Charlie Intel released some information about it as well. But
Yeah.
some sources who spoke to Polygon, on condition of anonymity, said that as Black Ops 4 release date approached, it became evident that development on the single-player campaign wouldn't be completed. One source said Treyarch has since focused Black Ops 4 development on expanding multiplayer and the series' popular zombie mode. The source described an emphasis on cooperative modes as a potential stand-in for the typical single-player experience. One of those sources also echoed reports from Call of Duty information broker Charlie Intel saying that the new game will have a Battle Royale mode. According to Polygon, as the multi-year development cycle of Black Ops 4 moved toward the game's October release date, it became evident that development on the single-player campaign wouldn't be completed. So, boys, here we are, man. It's Call of Duty Black Ops 4, arguably one of the biggest, storylines, franchises in the Call of Duty, catalog of games. Black Ops is very, very popular. The first one had an awesome story. The second one had a really fun story that you could play cooperatively. The third Black Ops series is considered the weakest in terms of like the story. But to see that Black Ops 4 will not have a campaign just struck me as odd. And the reason it struck me as odd is because they mentioned this here. It became evident that development on the single-player campaign wouldn't be completed. Okay, now these are three-year cycles, right? These games, the developers have 3 years to create these games, and typically typically Call of Duty games, the campaigns are 5 to 6 hours, 5 to 7 hours tops. Did they just start working on the campaign in year 3 of the development cycle, or how did that just where what? It's a
This is also Treyarch.
Yeah.
These are the guys that made the first 3 Black Ops games. This is not like they're not like the new kids on the block here.
That was the most baffling thing out of all that stuff that we read here was just how they didn't think the campaign would be completed. Was this like a 30-hour campaign that they just a little over ambitious for a Call of Duty project?
It was the first ever Call of Duty JRPG. They just couldn't fit it in.
Yeah, I did that. That's the only thing that just struck me as odd is that they realized that the campaign wouldn't be done. Like I understand. Call of Duty is a multiplayer game. I mean, that's what everyone plays Call of Duty for, is the online and what have you. I love the campaigns in Call of Duty. I think they're really exciting. They're probably my favorite parts of Call of Duty. But I accept the fact that they're not the most important aspect. They're not it's not the mode that's going to move this game off shelves. It's the multiplayer, and in some degree, it's the zombies and the co-op elements there. But for them to sit there and say that this thing wouldn't be completed in time, I have a hard time believing that, because this is a 3-year development cycle, and it's typically a 5 to 7 hour campaign. I just have a hard time believing they didn't start this. Did they only start this like a month or a year before launch? Like, I just don't get that. Help me understand.
There's definitely more to this story, Brent, than simply they couldn't finish the the single player campaign in time.
Hmm.
Whoever these anonymous sources were, I'm pretty sure they were in the spin zone at this point, and they were trying to kind of brush off exactly what was happening. Because I find it very, very hard to believe that Treyarch, a seasoned Call of Duty developer, would not be able to finish the single player campaign for Black Ops in time. The minute we heard that, we were like, all right, something's fishy. Like, that sounds like total BS.
Hmm.
So, and Charlie Intel had chimed in with, obviously Kotaku and Eurogamer have corroborated this. So this is 100% guaranteed at this point. There's no campaign in Black Ops 3. So when they reveal this game on May 17th, I'm gonna be very, very curious to see what they talk about or what they actually reveal about this game. But Charlie Intel chimed in with this and updated their story and said that we reported in a new post that a tipster told Charlie Intel last month that Black Ops 4 would not have a campaign mode and that it would be replaced by a possible Battle Royale mode. Some additional info from that same tipster stated that Activision believed that Call of Duty Black Ops 4's campaign was too out there, quote unquote, and quote unquote outlandish, and canceled it to let Treyarch focus on multiplayer and zombies. Now that to me, I think that's where the real story is.
Hmm.
It's somewhere buried in that comment. The two out there, the outlandish thing. But to think that Activision would come in and just completely scrap the single player Black Ops mode, that speaks volumes, man, about where we are, I think, in the video game industry right now, and what some of these publishers think of single player campaigns and how that factors into their multiplayer experiences. Like, Activision is supremely confident in Call of Duty to the point that they will just come out, not even ship their game with a single player mode, and just be completely fine with it.
Hmm.
That's that's pretty telling, man.
Yeah. And, you mentioned that, this tipster said that Activision canceled it because it was too outlandish. With the exception of World War II, hasn't every Call of Duty campaign been outlandish? I mean, they're all
Exactly.
just,
Like, have you ever played one of these?
yeah, they're all over the top and outlandish. I mean, that's what makes them fun. That's what makes them exciting. They're just like Michael Bay films for 5 or 6 hours, just
Yeah.
mind-numbing, dumb action, which I like about it. But for them to, I mean, if Activision looked at a Call of Duty single player campaign after all the games in this series and said that's too out there, that's too outlandish, dude, I want to see what this game was, man. I really want to play the campaign even more now than what I did before. But we're not going to get it. But it's just, man, every Call of Duty is outlandish. What are you talking about, Activision?
Seriously, dude. Yeah, that's something I thought about as well. Like, if this campaign was so outlandish that you did not want to put it in a Call of Duty game, like, what in the hell was happening in this thing? I mean, were you running around with, like, the murderous robot Santa Claus from Futurama? Like, what was in this thing that was so crazy that they couldn't even release it? They were like, wow, this is just, we can't even bother releasing this. That's how bad this is. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, look, outlandish. That's what I've always thought of Call of Duty campaigns. They're all outlandish.
Yeah.
Especially the futuristic ones like Advanced Warfare, even Ghost to an extent. Black Ops 3 was just outlandish. I mean, they're just that's Call of Duty. Those are the campaigns. They're all outlandish. I don't get that.
Infinite Warfare was in space.
Yeah, what's more outlandish than that?
Yeah. So, man, I guess it didn't fit in with their whole their new boots on the ground thing that they're trying to do now. Maybe it was outlandish in that respect. It wasn't grounded enough. I don't know. It just, how do you figure that out? Like, a few months before you're gonna reveal the game. Like, how is that, like, just found out now? Like, isn't this stuff that you talk about prior to the game, and you have, like, your milestones, things that you're showing the publisher? How do you step in and just completely can the single player campaign? That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't get that at all, but it is what it is. I'm bummed about it, but at the same time, I'm not going to not pick up Call of Duty. I mean, it's Call of Duty. I pick it up every year. I like the multiplayer was improved drastically with World War II. Now, if there's any truth to these rumors that I read earlier that there's going to be boosting and wall running again in this one, then I guess I'll just have to deal with it. But I just don't get the The
Is that really what people are saying now? There's gonna be
there was
boosting and wall running again?
there was a report. I don't have it in front of me right now, but there was a report that said there will be some grappling hooks and there'll be some kind of like boosting and stuff like that in this one again, which I'm disappointed with
That
because
literally makes no sense.
yeah, World War II proved that the Call of Duty fans want boots on the ground. They want more grounded gameplay. But Black Ops 3 had plenty of the boosting and all that jazz, so I can understand why I guess it's still in this one. I mean, going against what just made World War II a massive success that put Call of Duty back on the map. But that's just in the multiplayer. I don't know if that's going to be the case if if there's any truth to the Battle Royale mode. I could see that being more grounded and be boots on the ground and to kind of give gamers what they want there. But let's talk about that for a sec, though, boys. Battle Royale mode. There's supposedly, reportedly one coming. It's been corroborated as well. Battle Royale will make its way to Call of Duty. For myself, I like PUBG. I like the Battle Royale concept. I really do. I think it can be very intense. PUBG, when I got my first chicken dinner, was one of the most intense experiences I'd played in a long time. It can be a very, very fun mode. But that was on PUBG. And I played Fortnite. I suck at Fortnite Battle Royale, so I don't have any issues with the game. I have issues with how I'm just terrible at it. But to see somebody like Treyarch, a studio that has to deliver a finely tuned product in Call of Duty, to see a Battle Royale mode coming to Call of Duty, I'm actually intrigued to play this. I'm intrigued to check this out because, like you said, this should be a polished experience, unlike PUBG, which is still evolving, still being worked on by Bluehole. This is going to be Treyarch, and this is going to be Call of Duty. This has to be a finely tuned product, and I'll be curious to see how Battle Royale plays out in Call of Duty, man.
This is what we talked about, right, dude?
Yeah.
We talked about the Battle Royale mode making its way into the mainstream gaming, and it's not shocking to me that we're hearing about it in Call of Duty. We predicted this months ago when we talked about this. Like, this is going to eventually make it into Ubisoft's games. It's going to be in the Tom Clancy games. It's going to be in the Battlefields and in the Call of Duty games. It's taking the world by storm, and these big publishers, of course, are noticing this. So they're like, all right, well, how do we get in? How do we get a piece of the pie? Well, we bring Battle Royale into Call of Duty, and we take the biggest genre out there right now, and we combine it with the biggest franchise out there right now. And to me, that means dollar signs. Like, the dollar signs are ringing in Activision's eyes when they see this match. And I guess in their opinion, with a robust multiplayer suite that Black Ops is known for, along with whatever co-op missions they're going to come up with, along with zombies, along with Battle Royale, like, they feel like they have a good enough package to put in front of people. And there's no doubt in my mind this is going to be a $60 video game. Like, they're not going to put something out that's going to be less than that, even though they took the single player out. They're going to put out a package that they feel confident putting out in front of you for $60. And I guess my question to you, man, is that enough? Like, is the multiplayer suite and a Battle Royale mode and zombies and whatever other co-op stuff is they're rumored to have in this, is that enough for a to be a full featured Call of Duty release?
Well, according to social media, no, it's not. But here's the other thing I know about social media. It doesn't matter if this thing is $60. People are going to buy this game. The same people are like, oh, I'm done with Call of Duty. I'm not buying it without the campaign that I never played. I'm not buying it. They're buying it. Everyone's going to buy Call of Duty, especially with the Battle Royale mode there. Everyone's going to want to do it for the multiplayer. This game is not going to miss a beat. It's going to sell well. Now, whether or not there's enough to do for $60, we don't even know yet. We'll find out on May 17th. If they come out and say, hey, look, we have the multiplayer that you all know and love. We have the zombies that you all know and love. We have a co-op mode, Spec Ops maybe, some sort of Spec Ops mode that you can play with your friends cooperatively.
We can't even get them to remake the Spec Ops in the game they're remaking.
I know. But here's the thing. I'm just saying. It mentions they're going to try to get something else cooperatively in there. If you give me something I can play with my friends cooperatively, but it's outside of zombies, and then there's a Battle Royale mode, and then there's multiplayer, I would be happy paying $60 for that because that's stuff I can play with my friends. Look, I like the Call of Duty single-player campaigns. I really do like them. But I like co-op a lot better, too. I like
Hmm.
co-op with my friends, and that stuff I'll spend $60 on, as long as it's robust. And let's be honest, man, Call of Duty does not slouch when it comes to their online suites. They are
Yeah.
robust. They have a lot of maps. They support it well with their with the DLC. There's a lot to do in Call of Duty outside of the campaign. I don't think it's gonna be missed that much as I did enjoy it.
Hmm. Yeah. And just to play devil's advocate here, man. So you have the $60 game, then you're gonna have to pay $50 for the season pass as well, and that's
Mhm.
gonna be all the other multiplayer stuff that's on top of that. So that's a pretty heavy package for something that theoretically is not going to have any single player content in it at all. It's all
Mhm.
multiplayer, and when it's all said and done, you're gonna spend $110 on it. Now, the like I was saying, to play devil's advocate here, what what kind of message is this going to deliver to Activision if everybody goes out and buys Call of Duty without the single player campaign, and then it sells like gangbusters and people love it? Like, is this the death of the call of the single player campaign for Activision? Like, they spend a lot of money making these things. They
Mhm.
bring in these A-list Hollywood people. They do these big set pieces and these big cinematic campaigns that cost a lot of money to develop. If they can put out a Black Ops 4 without a single player campaign and people buy it and eat it up, why would they ever do a single player campaign again? And does this start to then send a message throughout the industry? Does this start to drum up the death of the single player, quote unquote, death of the single player conversation again?
Mhm.
Now, that's why I'm happy that we have things like God of War and what Sony does with their first party studios, and The Legend of Zelda and Super Mario, and what Nintendo does with their first party studios. They show you that there is an audience out there for the single player experience. There's a big audience in these games that can sell millions and millions of copies. You can
Mhm.
sell 9 million copies of Uncharted, 10 million copies of Super Mario, however many millions of copies God of War is going to sell. But when you have the biggest franchise in the world come out and they put out their game multiplayer only and people just lap it up, like, why would they ever make a single player campaign again? And other people and our other developers going to take notice of this and start to wonder the same thing.
No, I think that's a definite thing that's going to happen. I think Activision is going to watch this very closely. And you're right. I do think other publishers and other developers will look at this. We'll look at what happens with Activision, and we'll look at what happens with the sales of Call of Duty, and that's something they could probably take into consideration. But I don't think this will kill off single player campaigns. I don't think this will kill off single player stories. But I do think a lot of people will be watching this to see what happens.
Hmm. Just man, I don't think it will completely kill single player campaigns either, but I feel like this starts us down a dangerous path, man.
Hmm.
And when Call of Duty starts to eliminate single player gameplay, and then you see some of the comments that we've heard from like Microsoft, for instance, over the recent years, where they've talked about the multiplayer experience, and that's kind of like where their focus is. And we see the success of like games as a service and everybody trying to make that next games as a service game, and we see the battle royale genre come in and just take the world by storm.
Hmm.
Like part of me is a little bit worried that we start to have this conversation more and more, and these publishers, as these games get more and more expensive to make. I mean, when we get to the next generation and we're talking PS5 and Xbox 2 and the crazy specs that these PCs are going to have, the
Hmm.
development of these games is going to be astronomical in terms of the price. And are we gonna hit a point of no return at some point? Like, are we gonna get to the point where people are just gonna throw their hands up and be like, "This is just way too expensive," and I'm just gonna go over here and make a battle royale game or a games as a service game, and just try and make my money that way, because it's gonna cost me a lot less money, and this is the games that everybody wants to play.
Hmm.
It's just like it's a slippery slope for us to get on, because then at some point the industry gets saturated with all these kinds of games, and then everybody's like, well, where's the single player games? Then it's like it's the cycle begins anew, and we go back to single player games. Or obviously this is like an apocalyptic type of a thing, but this is the kind of thing that can eventually become from something like this. So
Hmm.
I do worry a little bit about where this conversation goes if Call of Duty makes a move like this and they make it permanently.
Yeah, if this wasn't Call of Duty, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. This is, like you said, the biggest franchise in the world, and there's going to be a lot of eyes on what happens, especially in terms of sales. If this thing sells like gangbusters, like World War II does, I think that's going to send a big message to Activision, and they're going to be like, we don't need to add a campaign because these guys and girls are going to keep buying this game no matter what. And, and that's part of the allure is the Battle Royale mode. I mean, Battle Royale is hot right now, unless you're Radical Heights.
Ah, man, getting the Radical Heights dig in there.
Yeah, Battle Royale is still very, very big. I mean, Fortnite is just massive. PUBG is still very, very big. But when you have the Call of Duty brand and you bring out a Battle Royale mode, you better believe there's gonna be a lot of people jumping into this game just for that, and it's going to sell very, very well. It's Call of Duty. It's going to sell a lot. I don't think the lack of a campaign is going to hurt the sales as much as gamers are trying to make it sound like that will by voicing that they're not picking up the game. I just Call of Duty is always going to be a multiplayer game, and if that's how Activision wants to proceed going forward as multiplayer only, this game's still going to sell. We'll see what happens. I'll be really curious to see. I think this thing's still going to sell very, very well. I think the addition of a Battle Royale mode is what's going to bring in a big audience for. I think that'll help keep the sales where it needs to be is a Battle Royale mode. But and it's funny, man, because not only is Call of Duty introducing a Battle Royale mode, it seems, but according to another tipster, EA Dice is testing a Battle Royale mode for Battlefield 5 that features similar gameplay, such as the one stuff we've seen in Fortnite and Battleground, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. But that was according to somebody at the studio who wanted to remain anonymous. So Battlefield 5 looking like that's going to have a Battle Royale mode as well, boys.
This is also not shocking me. This is as Call of Duty goes, so goes Battlefield. Like Call of Duty's not going to do something and Battlefield's not going to do it, or vice versa. Just like we saw Battlefield go back to World War I, Call of Duty hopped right back into World War II. So these guys are all kind of feeding off each other. They they know what the other guy's doing pretty much. Whether or not they just talk to each other, or they just know, or whatever, or people talk in the industry. They know what the other is doing. So if Call of Duty's working on a Battle Royale mode, you can be damn sure that DICE is working on one for Battlefield as well. So this is definitely not a surprise, and it would have been more surprising for me if they weren't developing a Battle Royale mode. These guys, EA and Activision, these are huge publishers, the biggest ones in the world. They see what's going on with the Battle Royale genre. They want to get a piece of that. They want to get this stuff into their games. The interesting thing about the Battlefield aspect of the Battle Royale mode is that the tipster that mentioned this doesn't believe that the Battle Royale mode is going to be ready for the launch of the game. They've speculated that this could either be an addition, like a free addition to the game sometime down the line. This could be something that doesn't even make it into Battlefield 5. Maybe this is a standalone release, or maybe this is something that they end up doing a Battle Royale game with Star Wars or with Battlefront at some point instead of Battlefield 5. So there's a lot up in the air in terms of this particular tip with Battlefield 5. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays into it, because we can anticipate Battlefield 5 and Black Ops 4 releasing right around the same time as each other. But if Black Ops 4 has their Battle Royale ready to go and DICE brings theirs out sometime down the line, that's a huge advantage for Call of Duty. If they can start to build up that crowd and their Battle Royale is actually good, it's going to be that much harder for Battlefield to get a foothold in that. Because when you start to get all these guys hopping in here, like what are you going to do when you got Fortnite, you got PUBG, you got Black Ops, you got Battlefield? Which Battle Royale are you gonna play? You can't play all of them, right? You gotta kind of pick one and go with it.
And that's my question to you, boys. I mean, if these two games bring out a Battle Royale mode, I mean, hell, we might even see one in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah,
there could be Battle Royale modes all over the place. At what point does Battle Royale fatigue start to set in, dude? I mean, right now it's Fortnite and PUBG just going head to head, and Fortnite is just out of this world right now.
Yeah,
but you throw in 2, possibly 3 of the biggest franchises this year coming out with Battle Royale modes of their own. When does the fatigue start to kick in, man?
I mean, it's got to be pretty soon. The interesting part of this, though, is that Fortnite is free. Like the Battle Royale mode for Fortnite is free. So I feel like that's always going to give that thing a leg up, especially because there's so many millions of people that are already in there playing that game.
Right.
People absolutely love Fortnite. There are people just obsessed with that game that play it for hours and hours and hours every single day, and they love it. It's incredible how that game's kind of came out and even stolen the thunder from PUBG, which is just crazy to even think about. So Fortnite and PUBG have between them, what do they have? they got to have 60 million people between them.
Oh, probably 70. I'd say
I mean,
70, 75.
that's a lot of people that are already playing those games, and you've got to spend your $60 to get Battlefield 5 or Black Ops 4, and then like the Battle Royale enough to get into it on that particular platform. So I think what we're looking at here is a situation where we're gonna have to take the Call of Duty crowd and convert them over to Battle Royale Call of Duty players. I don't know that they're gonna be able to reach out and grab people from Fortnite or PUBG that weren't already planning to pick up Call of Duty. I
Hmm.
feel like there's probably a lot of crossover, especially with PUBG. The people
Hmm.
that play those games are probably a similar crowd. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just the same thing with the games as a service. Like if everybody's trying to make their game a games as a service game, like how
Hmm.
many of these damn things can we play?
Right.
I only have time to play Destiny. I can't play if there was like 7 games as a service games I wanted to play, like if the Division and Anthem and all these battle royale games were out, like where are the hours in the day to play these games? It's just not.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, it's I don't know how many the industry can support, but we're gonna find out real quick, man.
I just feel like this whole genre is just going to be is just going to run itself out real quick. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone. I mean, look. I mean, and you have to establish it right away. You have to come out and deliver it. I mean, like I was joking earlier, but Radical Heights is dead.
Yeah.
I mean, that game is legitimately dead already. It came out, people were cool with it for like 10 seconds, and everyone went back to PUBG and Fortnite. I mean, that game is dead. And it's just, unless, and that's when you get Call of Duty and Battlefield into the mix, I don't know why anybody would even bother making a battle royale mode if you're not one of the big publishers. I feel like
Mhm.
stuff like Radical Heights, developers won't even bother with it anymore. When you have polished studios like this, I just feel like this genre is going to wear itself out real quick, man.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta wonder with Radicalized, man. Poor Bosky. But like, what was were they just really just trying to erase themselves of the lawbreakers like stench, like as soon as they could? They're just like, let's just throw this out there and get people talking about a different game. Like, was
Hmm.
that the plan? So they put out this early access game that's buggy, that is just a disaster, and everybody's already dealt with that with PUBG for the years, and they've been
Hmm.
dealing with the bugs in that game, and they've watched it improve and get fixed over the years. Fortnite, by all accounts, has been a pretty stable experience.
Hmm.
So, what was their thought with releasing Radical Heights? Like, what did they think was going to happen?
Dude, I think they were just so desperate to get something out there to be relevant again.
Yeah,
And they tried to like run with this, embrace the jank,
yeah.
like embrace the fact that our game is janky and riddled with bugs, and it didn't catch at all. I mean,
It's not a free game, is it? You have to pay for it.
I think it's an early access game. I thought it was free. Maybe it's
Oh,
not
okay.
though.
Maybe it is free. Okay. Well,
But
maybe they were banking on it being free and getting people in that way.
dude, I mean, it's just that thing's like already on life support. So
Yeah. So
uh,
what do you think about the future of the genre? Do you think that this is like a flash in the pan genre? Like, could this be like something like the rhythm genre, for instance, like the musical instrument genre? Like we saw everything with Rock Band and Guitar Hero, and we saw Rocksmith and all this other stuff
mhm.
coming out, and people were all jumping on that bandwagon. And then by the time everybody had bought their 7th set of drums with like their next musical instrument game. They're like, "What am I doing here? Like, I can't fit any more of this stuff in my house." Then
Mhm.
that kind of faded away. Like, could we see something like that with Battle Royale, where everybody's trying to do it, everybody just gets sick of it and just kind of fades away, or is this a sustainable genre?
I think it can be sustainable if whoever makes it try to add some cool elements to it. Like I think Fortnite, even though I suck at the building, that's like the one thing about Fortnite that separates it from everything else
Hmm.
is that building element. Where PUBG, you just run around and gun people down. And, I mean, there's strategy to it,
Hmm.
but there's just not a whole lot to it. I mean, it's just 100 people drop in, you kill everybody, you survive, you win. That's awesome. That's a cool concept,
Yeah.
And if Call of Duty and Battlefield mimic that, that's going to do well for them. But at the end of the day, though, I mean, it's just one mode, and it's just one goal: survive, and that's it.
Hmm.
Eventually, this thing, unless people start evolving on that genre and adding new stuff to it, then I could see this thing running out really, really quick, dude.
No, I agree with you, man. It's going to be very, very interesting to watch all this stuff play out over the next few months and years in this space and see how many people actually try to jump into it and how oversaturated it gets and who else is able to stake their claim next to Fortnite and PUBG. It's
Hmm.
it's it's fascinating.
It is indeed. So we'll keep an eye on that. But let's move along, Mr. Boyce. Up next, Shadow of the Tomb Raider gets its official reveal.
Hmm.
Square Enix finally showed off the upcoming Shadow of the Tomb Raider with an extended trailer earlier this week. While it doesn't show much of how the game will play, the new clip gives a good idea of the tone and things that don't seem all that good for Lara. The 3-minute trailer shows her struggling in a dark jungle, questioning, what will I become? According to Square, the game will task Lara with saving the world from a Maya apocalypse. Boys, did you watch this trailer?
I did.
What'd you think of it?
The trailer's very dark.
Yes,
This
it
is,
is.
and that's all the previews that I read of this game. Pretty much all of them have the same headline: Shadow of
Mhm.
the Tomb Raider, the darkest Tomb Raider yet. I
Yep.
think every single one of them that I saw all said that.
Mhm.
So yeah, this trailer we see, obviously, you mentioned this is dealing with the Mayan apocalypse, and this seems like a very cool setting for a Tomb Raider game, but it's extremely dark. Laura spends the trailer creeping through the jungle, like brutally murdering these enemies or these militia or guys that are trying to kill her. So
Mhm.
she's like stealthily moving through, like hatcheting people and killing all these people until she gets to this, Mayan altar and saves this boy from being sacrificed by,
Mhm.
once again just stabbing this dude. So yeah, she's at this point become like this just efficient like killing machine. In fact, I was reading about it, and they mentioned that they likened her to Stallone in Rambo or Schwarzenegger in Predator in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which
Uh-huh.
I was like, wow, is that what Laura's become at this point? She's Rambo now.
Mm.
So it's interesting to see how far she's come. Now, I haven't played through the first two parts of this Tomb Raider reboot, but
Mhm.
this is the supposedly the last part of the trilogy. This officially makes her the Tomb Raider, whatever that means. I don't know if she gets a crown or something at the end of this. Like, hey, you're the Tomb Raider now. You can go get other tombs. But yeah, I'm curious to hear from you, man. Obviously, the other two entries not necessarily as dark as this. I know there were some dark elements in the
Mhm.
previous two games. Do you is this the natural progression for her up to this point to be this like efficient killing machine and to be in this dark story centered around the Mayan apocalypse? Is that the natural progression, or are we getting a little bit too dark with this game, you think?
I don't know if it's the natural progression because, like I said, in the
Yeah.
last couple of Tomb Raiders, you still get to see the human side of Laura. She doesn't like
Hmm.
killing and stuff like that. There's many
Yeah.
cutscenes that show she has a difficult time grasping with killing people, but it doesn't appear to be an issue now because, like you said, she's going through just taking out groups of militia
Yeah.
and I mean, in very brutal ways. And so I guess this is just the natural in Square Enix's mind. This is how she's evolving as a character. She's tougher. She's, basically, here's a description here. She's battle hardened after thwarting countless goons. Laura is taking her mastery of combat in some deadly new directions, stealing the page from the playbook, followed by Schwarzenegger and Stallone and Predator and Rambo. The combat ready Croft will make creative new use of her surroundings, both blending into and weaponizing her environments. But so yeah, they've that's one of the things they said to look out for in the new game. This is just she's a much more efficient killing machine, and apparently she doesn't have too many more issues with it.
I mean, as someone who's played through those first two games, someone who's really enjoyed them, I know, especially Rise of the Tomb Raider. I know you loved that game.
Yes.
So to see the direction that they're taking her character, and to see them talking about her as like Rambo or or Schwarzenegger and Predator, like, how does that make you feel, man? Does that make you feel a little bit uneasy, or is that how do you feel about that?
Well, I kind of hope I'm hoping for, because they've done such a good job with character development in these last two games. I'm kind of hoping that maybe there's something to it there. Maybe we'll see something that causes her to go on this, to take her to this next level. Maybe there's something that happens or just give me something. I don't hope it's not just you jump in and she's just like slitting throats and, she's just like you said, a true killer. But I mean, I even if that is the case, if they don't have that, I just hope the story still has some depth because they did a really good job, especially in Rise of the Tomb Raider, giving her depth, making her 3-dimensional. I hope she
Mhm.
just doesn't become a 1-dimensional killing machine. Because this isn't Crystal Dynamics, is it?
Right. No, this is
So
Eidos Montreal, which was
yeah.
going to be my next question. Like,
Hmm.
any trepidation that this is even though Eidos Montreal has been involved in the
Hmm.
creation of these games in the past, like they got the keys to the castle now. Any
Yeah.
any trepidation that they're the ones doing this now, and they're like, and their vision of Laura at this point is this brutal killing machine, and maybe that's not the way that Crystal would have gone. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's who's to say what Crystal would have done. I mean, maybe Crystal laid this groundwork down, said, "Hey, here's what we had.
Hmm.
This is what we were planning on doing with her, and you guys can do what you want to do." But or maybe this is just Eidos Montreal saying, "Hey, we're gonna make her what we want to make her. This is what we want out of a Tomb Raider game. We're gonna add our own flair to it. We're gonna add our style of gameplay to it.
Hmm.
And in our game, she's a killing machine. So, as long as there's some story there, some that gives her some depth." And hopefully she has moments to reflect on the things that she's doing, like I said, to kind of add that depth to her. I'll be fine with that. But if she's an all-out killing machine, then I guess she's an all-out killing machine. That would be disappointing. Hopefully there's more to it, though.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm curious to see how all that plays out. I do like some of the stuff I'm hearing though about I like the Mayan setting. I think that's a
Hmm.
cool setting for the Tomb Raider games. I like or for this particular game. I do like that, what we've heard about in terms of her like getting into these pyramids or going through these tombs and the style of traps that they
Hmm.
have in there. It sounds like there's gonna be some cool puzzle based elements in terms of how you get through these traps unscathed. So I like what we're hearing in terms of that. I like these co-op missions that are going to be added to the game as part of the season pass.
Yes. Yep. Yep. And then that's one of the things we'll talk about right now. First, we'll touch on the special editions and the season pass that was revealed. There's going to be 4 different versions of this game that you can buy. There's the standard edition, which will get you the base game and a little more. Early purchase bonuses include an additional skills booster pack and a PS4 dynamic theme for PlayStation 4, a Steam wallpaper for PC, and an avatar outfit on Xbox One. Then there's the Digital Deluxe Edition, what will get you the base game, the official soundtrack, and one additional weapon and outfit for Lara. Plus, if you pre-order, bonuses include everything from the standard edition as well as a 48-hour early access to the full game. So the Digital Deluxe has everything in the base one, including the OST, an additional weapon outfit, and a 48-hour early access to the game. After that, we have the Croft Edition, which includes everything from the Digital Deluxe Edition, but Lara gets 3 additional outfits and weapons. It also grants access to the Season Pass. Lastly, we have the Ultimate Edition, the $200 Ultimate
Woo!
Edition.
Oh boy.
In addition to everything from the Croft Edition, it includes a fancy Tomb Raider flashlight, a bottle opener styled after Lara's now iconic climbing axe, and a machete-wielding Lara Croft statue. Really pushing out the fact that
Just
she is wielding a
yeah,
machete.
just embracing the dark aspect.
Yeah. Lara Croft as Jason Voorhees. Now, so you're going to have 4 different versions. Now, the Season Pass, this actually sounds really cool. Rather than calling them expansions this time out, the nomenclature is paths, and there are 7 total as spotted by US Gamer. Each will have its own challenge tomb, story, skill, outfit, and weapons. They'll be doled out on a monthly basis, and the first will add co-op play of some sort. We don't have any information on what that is, and we don't know how much the season pass is going to cost separately if you want to buy it that way. But boys, what's your thoughts on this, man? This is not your typical like 1 or 2 big expansions. There's going to be 7 total paths that will launch out, that will come out on a monthly basis. Okay, every month you're going to get a new path.
That's very interesting. Yeah, they mention a new adventure every month, 7 challenge tombs with narrative side missions.
Mm.
So it seems like there's going to be a whole, side narrative, side story attached to these as well. And it's unclear if just the first one's going to be cooperative or if all of them are going to have cooperative elements. But yeah, that's very, very intriguing. It's an interesting way to extend the Tomb Raider experience. So if those are done well and you're getting, a couple hours of additional content with each of these challenge tombs, and there's a chance to do something cooperative, or maybe there's like a wave based mode is involved with some of this as well that you can get into cooperatively. But I think that's sounds really cool.
Yeah, I think that actually sounds really, really good. I like the fact, and it's every single month.
Hmm.
Every month you're going to get a new path added to the game, so that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see how much that season pass is going to cost.
Yeah,
Because 7 paths is a lot. That's a lot of content
That
over
is.
7 months. So
it is.
depending on the size of these things, I'm sure that'll determine what the price is going to be on it. But I mean, for myself, I'm going to be probably if there's anything, the least I'm going to get is the digital deluxe edition because I want the soundtrack, the 48-hour early access. But I think the Croft edition is going to be the sweet spot. Again, that includes everything from the digital deluxe plus 3 additional weapons. It also grants you access to the season pass. So That's probably the one I'm going to go for. I cannot spring for the $200 collector's edition.
Yeah, for me, dude, with Shadow of the Tomb Raider, it's still got the unfortunate release date of September 14th.
Yep.
This is a week after Spider-Man. It's presumably going to be a week after or right around the time when the Destiny expansion comes out. So I'm going to be knee-deep in both of those experiences. I just, Laura's unfortunately going to be on the back burner as a result.
I will find a way to get it in. I really enjoyed the last couple of games, the last 2 games, so I want to see what happens next to Lara, so I'll definitely be on board for that. All right, moving on from Lara Croft and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, we're going to talk some NPD, boys. We got the March NPD numbers, and top software, Far Cry 5.
Shocking.
Absolutely nobody. Far Cry 5 was a top-selling game of March, followed by Sea of Thieves at number 2.
Interesting.
That's a very, very good showing for Sea of Thieves. Number 3, MLB The Show 18. Number 4, Kirby Star Allies. Wow.
That's the power of the Switch right there. That's a game that's been received mediocre at best, but it's a new Switch title. It's a first-party Nintendo character, so hey, lap it up, baby.
Man. Number 5, our good friend Grand Theft Auto 5. Back in the top 5 again. Number 6, Call of Duty World War II, followed by Mario Kart 8, Ni no Kuni Revenant Kingdom.
Interesting that one cracked the top 10.
Yeah, NBA 2K18 and Monster Hunter World rounds out the top 10. The bottom half goes as this: Super Mario Odyssey at 11, followed by The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Player Unknown Battlegrounds at 13, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, followed by A Way Out.
Hanging out there.
She's always hanging. I love that game. A Way Out, number at 15. Assassin's Creed Origins, Dragon Ball Fighters, FIFA 18, Splatoon 2 at 19, and UFC 3 rounds out the top 20. Boys, looking at this list, are there any standout titles to you?
Yeah, there's a few things that stand out to me. So, first of all, with Far Cry 5, not only was this the top title of March, it's now the best-selling title of 2018. You know, the when it came out, and it's also the highest debut ever for a Far Cry title as well. So, you know, the hype is real with Far Cry 5.
Yeah.
Ubisoft did a good job promoting this game prior to it. The buzz around it was very strong. People were generally impressed with this game. It reviewed well. So that has gone a long way to making Far Cry 5 be a pretty big success for them. So, yeah, like you said, no shock that that's there at number 1. It is a little bit shocking, though, to see Sea of Thieves at number 2. It's the highest launch month sales for any title produced by Rare since the NPD began tracking stuff in 1995.
Wow.
So that's, you know, obviously Rare's made a lot of good games over the years, but to see Sea of Thieves with it available in the Game Pass as well, obviously that didn't affect its physical sales, or there were people that were buying it right off the store as well, people that wanted to own it. So very interesting to see that there. MLB The Show also had its best debut ever, which is you know, obviously speaks to the install base of the PlayStation 4 that game was able to come out and reach the crowd that it was. It's always a popular game every year. Obviously, it's the only officially licensed baseball game now. It's always a very good game every single year. But still, to be, you know, I don't know what we're 15 years or so into this franchise now at this point, and this is the best entry, or the best selling entry right out of the gates that they've had so far is pretty impressive. 4 years into the PlayStation 4's life here. I already mentioned Ni no Kuni. To see that up there is nice. A niche JRPG game that's only available on the PlayStation 4 and the PC. But to see that in the top 10 is pretty cool as well. And then obviously the normal, you know, guys in there like Super Mario, Zelda, Rainbow Six Siege. Those titles are pretty much always going to be in the top 20.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much summed it up. I mean, Far Cry 5 is an awesome game, and it deserves the recognition, and I'm not surprised that it sold this well. Like you mentioned, there was a lot of buzz behind it, and when the game launched, there was a lot of buzz building up after that as well, as it was a very good Far Cry game. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Sea of Thieves at number 2 is very surprising. But, I mean, I guess at the same time, it's not, because there was a lot of hype building up behind that game, especially after that preview event where people got their hands on it in the beta. There was a lot of talk about it, and then when the game launched, that's when the criticism started to fall on it. There's not enough to do, but there was enough going into the launch of the game where enough people were like, yep, I'm definitely on board for this. I want to try this out. It looked really, really cool in that stream, but people found out that basically what they saw in the beta is what launched in the game.
Yeah.
And since then, Rare has identified that, and they've acknowledged that, and they've made plans. They're going to be releasing stuff coming up here soon. So it'll be interesting to see where Sea of Thieves goes from here. I don't expect it to be in the top 5 next month, or on the next month MPDs, but it'll be cool. It'll be interesting to see if it charts again. But that is surprising to see it at number 2, but at the same time, it's not very surprising considering all the hype that built up behind that game prior to launch. Yeah. And then I am shocked to see Grand Theft Auto 5.
I mean, who could have predicted it?
Unreal, dude.
I mean,
I just keep thinking this is a joke every month by the MPD group. Just like, let's just put it in here again.
Yeah, I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5 could be the first video game to be owned by every single person that owns a video game console on the planet. So it's on its way, man. It's on its way to being in every single home where you can find a video game console.
Rockstar's got to be looking at it going, can we get this thing on the Switch? Can we get this thing on the Switch in some dumbed down version?
Yeah. Grand Theft Auto 5 Mario Edition. You're running around stealing turtle shells. And
if Grand Theft Auto 5 launched on the Switch, this is hypothetical. If it did, would it take number 1 spot for the month? If you're charting at 5,
probably so.
If you're charting at 5 with the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and whatnot, and then you bring one out for the Switch, would Grand Theft Auto 5 take this top spot 5 years after its launch?
It just might. I guess it depends on what other games are coming out that month. Like if there's like a big release that's coming out, that might slide into the top slot. But if it's a relatively tame month, I can see it taking the top spot.
That'd be hilarious. I just don't think there's any way we'll see that on the Switch. No way.
No, there's no way. There's no way in hell.
No
there's
way.
A less than 0% chance.
Excuse me.
The other interesting thing I want to mention real quick too, in terms of Kirby Star Allies, best-selling debut for that series as well.
Really?
So, yeah, it's the power of the Switch, man.
Man, when I found that thing didn't have co-op online, I was like, nope, never gonna play this game.
Yeah, that game was not. It was pretty much received very mediocrely, if that's a word.
It is now.
Mediocrely.
That's what we do. We start words here.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it still came out and it sold like over 1 million copies or whatever. So it came out and did its thing, man.
Wow, good for Kirby.
Yeah.
In terms of hardware, the PlayStation 4 remains the best-selling console in March. The Nintendo Switch with the red and blue Joy controllers was the best-selling hardware in March.
It's very awkwardly worded here, but basically it's saying that the PlayStation 4 the top-selling hardware for the month, but the Switch red and blue Joy-Con bundle, that's the highest-selling single SKU of the month.
Okay.
Yeah, basically PlayStation 4 top-selling console of the month, top-selling console of 2018 so far. The Switch 32 gigabyte red and blue bundle is the top selling SKU. So when you take like the PlayStation 4 Slim, the PlayStation 4 Pro, when you take all those individually, you break them out instead of just PlayStation 4 hardware. You take all the individual SKUs with like the God of War bundles or whatever other bundles there are. You take all those individual SKUs. The Nintendo Switch 32 gigabyte red and blue Joy-Con SKU was the single highest selling piece of hardware last month.
Up next, boys, Housemarque. Our friends at Housemarque, the masters of the arcade-style shooters, have revealed their new game, Storm Divers. Are you hyped for this, man? Are you hyped for Storm Divers, or are you concerned because this is their first venture out of the arcade shooter market?
I don't know how to feel because the teaser we got didn't show us anything.
Nope.
You know, it's described as a high-flying and heavy-hitting multiplayer-centric experience. So, you know, Housemarque mentioned that obviously that they're going to get away from the arcade shooter. They're going to go in a different direction. But they did mention they're going to try to bring their sensibilities, you know, revolving around gameplay and the tight controls and the shooter experience and bringing that over to a different type of game. So, you know, that it is reassuring to hear that at least that's their goal. You know, these are still very, very talented developers, regardless of what genre of game that they get involved with. Housemarque has been one of my favorite developers for a long time. So, of course, I'm going to be there for Storm Divers. I'm going to be there on day one to see what this thing's all about. But I'm a little bit concerned that, we get away from what makes Housemarque and what makes them
Hmm.
special and what makes them great. If they're jumping in and trying to make another uh high flying multiplayer experience or another hero shooter or something like that. Like there's so many of these games out there now. They just run the risk of stepping their foot into a a pot that's even harder to make their mark in than they were in the arcade shooter space where they were the
Hmm.
kings. So I do worry a little bit about them getting kind of lost in the shuffle if they try to tackle one of these really popular genres, unless they come up with something that's just mind-blowingly different and just force people to play their game. But I'm curious, but I'm also cautiously worried about what this might become as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, we love Housemarque. We love their previous titles. A lot of their games are
Hmm.
staples on PlayStation platforms when it comes to arcade shooters and stuff. That beautiful looking games with rocking soundtracks with breathtaking visuals,
Hmm.
and it'll be interesting to see what this game is all about and how much of that DNA that we from previous Housemarque titles actually makes it over to this game. I know that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to add those sensibilities to it, but
Hmm.
this is going to be a different Housemarque game. This isn't going to be what we're used to, and it'll be interesting to see what Storm Divers is all about, dude.
What do you make of the teaser, and what do you make of this phrase "high flying and heavy hitting multiplayer centric experience"? Like when you see the teaser and you see that phrase, and you try and conjure up what Storm Divers could be, like what comes up for you?
Honestly, man, when you take that teaser and that description, I couldn't put anything together. I
Yeah,
really couldn't. Like it was just I thought I was looking at two different things. Honestly, when they said that, and when we saw the trailer, I was like, okay, well
yeah,
then that doesn't look like a high flying. I couldn't see it,
yeah,
but I mean, what it could be, dude, I don't even know. I mean,
yeah.
I'll go with whatever you got.
I I got nothing either. I was hoping you had something because the
Nope,
the
I looked
teaser
at
is
that.
basically a jungle in the rain. That's pretty much
Yeah,
it, right?
and I don't see. There's nothing in my mind going unless you're monkeys swinging on the trees. That's high flying. Maybe we're monkeys with machine guns. Who knows? I don't know.
That would be unique.
It'd be very unique and very action packed, and I'm sure it'd have an awesome soundtrack. So,
Yeah. So yeah, but I'm definitely curious, man. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. It wasn't a little bit. There wasn't a little bit of trepidation with what Storm Divers could be or what it could mean for the future of Housemark.
fingers crossed. Hopefully, it's a goodie. Hopefully, it's a goodie.
Mhm.
All right, Mr. Boyce, let's hop into the world of PlayStation.
Brent, we are going to start our journey into the world of PlayStation this podcast with some Final Fantasy VII Remake
Hmm.
news. A game that we don't get to talk about too much, but that many of us are very curious about. There's like these little snippets that kind of trickle out here and there, on this game. It's like people are just grasping at whatever they can get from Final Fantasy VII because we want to know what's going on with this game. So, there was a report recently that the game wasn't as far along as people would have hoped, or that maybe they had to redo everything that had been done with CyberConnect 2 because Square wasn't happy with the progress that they had made. So there's all kinds of stories and conjecture about what is actually going on with this game right now. But
Mhm.
this particular story is about this, Brent. But Final Fantasy VII Remake aims to surpass the original.
Hmm.
I mean, pretty standard like PR stuff here, but Square Enix aims to create a title that surpasses the original Final Fantasy VII with its upcoming remake for PS4. According to a job listing via Jamatsu, as originally reported by DualShockers, for a battle planner and level planner to join the project, the game will be a new creation, not limited to a simple remake. The listing also reiterates that Final Fantasy VII Remake is being developed internally at Square Enix. CyberConnect 2 is previously working with Square on the project, as we mentioned. Last month, Square Enix posted a job listing for Final Fantasy VII Remake, seeking level planners to increase its quality another step higher. Game director Tetsuya Nomura posted a recruitment letter last month saying the team was urgently seeking additional talent to join the development team. So, um, it also notes on here this game was originally planned to be released in multiple parts. We have no idea if that's still the plan or not.
Mhm.
But Brent, what do you think when you hear them say they're aiming to surpass the original, a game that in many people's minds is their favorite game of all time, their favorite Final Fantasy, and they're aiming to surpass it with Final Fantasy VII. Are they aiming too high here, or is this simply just kind of par for the course in terms of like PR speak?
Man, when you sit there and say you want to surpass the original, that makes me wonder how many changes they're making to the game,
Hmm.
and how it plays and whatnot. I mean, is that what
Yeah,
you really want a developer to do to a game that's as cherished as this? How much? I mean, when you say it's surpassing, are we just talking about visually speaking? Are we just talking about it's going to be a better looking game? Or are we talking about major changes to the core mechanics of it? I mean, that's I guess what I want
yeah,
to know is what they mean by surpassing the original, and do fans of the series really want it to surpass the original that much to where it's a different game?
yeah. I mean, what do you make of the line "new creation, not limited to a simple remake"?
Man, that tells me there's going to be changes to this game.
Yeah.
That this is going to be. I mean, it'll still be Final Fantasy VII at its core,
Hmm.
but there's going to be, maybe they're going to modernize the controls. Maybe they're going to change the way that the combat works. I don't know, but I mean that
Yeah.
again, that makes me want to ask: is this what fans really want?
Well, from what we've seen of the game so far, with the brief, you know, gameplay snippets that we've seen of the title so far, it's definitely the combat system's completely changed. It's not a turn-based combat system. It's an active
Hmm.
real-time battle system, as we've seen in something like Final Fantasy 15. So we know that that's changing. Obviously, they're updating the visuals to take advantage of current technologies. They're not the small, chibi, polygonal block figures
Right.
of the Final Fantasy 7 of the past. So my thing with this would be if they can like harness the core of Final Fantasy VII, if they can take the story, maybe touch up some things with the translation, keep the music intact, maybe remaster the music, because the music for Final Fantasy VII is incredible. Great soundtrack in this game. If they can retain all of the great things with the narrative and with the music and with the core gameplay and with even the materia system that went into the battle system, and translate that into a modern like real-time battle system with real visuals, or with modern visuals, then I think this could theoretically surpass the original if they're able to accomplish that kind of a feat,
Hmm.
and just modernize it. But yeah, I love Final Fantasy VII. It's one of my favorite Final Fantasies of all time, and I am waiting with bated breath to see what this eventually becomes. But yeah, I really hope that they can just keep the essence of Final Fantasy VII, and just update the stuff around it. If they can do that, they will be successful here.
Hmm.
So, moving on from there, Brent, we mentioned Infinity War happening right now, and Insomniac's come out and let you know that the Iron Spider suit from Infinity War, which is the suit that Spider-Man wears in that movie, will be coming to Spider-Man on PS4 on September 7th. So this is one of the bonus pre-order costumes. There's three of them. So we've seen Spider-Punk right now, and now we know that the Infinity War costume will also be available as well. The third one they're not going to reveal until I think it's July.
Mm.
We'll find out what that third pre-order costume is, but we now know that this one's going to be available. They actually had access to the actual CG asset from the film,
Oh
so
wow.
then they used that to create this. So it's basically a pixel perfect reproduction of the CG suit that's used in Infinity War, which is really cool. The other thing that they're doing with these suits too is they give you a new power that you can use that you don't normally have with
Hmm.
the game. It's like the Spider Punk suit, for instance, lets you rock out with a guitar, doing an area of effect attack that knocks enemies off their feet. So you'll have that when you're wearing the Spider Punk costume. And the Iron Spider suit has a power that, well, you'll know when you see it happen in Marvel Studios Avengers
Oh, okay.
Infinity War.
Okay.
You know what they're talking about. I know
Yep.
what they're talking about. If you haven't seen the movie, you'll know after you see it. But it's cool that they're putting these suits in, and that all of them seem like they're gonna have this little tweak to the gameplay. I like that they're doing that. It's not simply just the skin. I think that's
Hmm.
awesome. Did I mention I can't wait for Spider-Man on September 7th?
You have mentioned that.
I can't wait for Spider-Man on September 7th. Man, that game looks so good. And in the midst of like all the Marvel hype right now, I'm ready for a superhero game. I feel like I'm due to return to Arkham Knight this summer.
Oh wow.
We'll see if we can make that happen. Um, Also in the world of PlayStation, Tacoma, Fulbright's Tacoma, is coming to the platform on May 8th. So it's been exclusive on Xbox for what, about a year now? I feel
Something
like
like that, close to it.
year. I think it's been on the PC as well. So finally making its way over to PlayStation 4 now. Did you play through Tacoma, Brent?
I didn't know.
Okay. I know Bender and Frankie enjoyed the game. It hasn't received quite the praise that Gone Home did, but
Mm-mm.
there's still a fan base out there, still people that enjoy the game. So good to see that it will be heading to PlayStation 4 on May 8th. Now you can actually get in and get a pre-order discount on this now because Tacoma is actually part of the Totally Digital promotion, which
Mm-hmm.
is going on right now. So I love the PSN spring promotion. There's always some really good games in there. Some of the stuff that we've already talked about on the show, like Guns of Icarus, and Killing Floor, they're part of the Totally Digital promotion that's going right now as well. So basically, there's a series of games that will come out throughout the next 3 or 4 weeks, and they will have 20% pre-order discounts available for them. So this started this past week with the Swords of Ditto and To Leave, which is a really cool sounding game, man. I'm really curious to hear some more about To Leave and if anybody's played it. But that game deals with some heady themes. But this upcoming week, obviously, we have Guns of Icarus and Killing Floor. Those will be the totally digital titles for May 1st. On May 8th, Tacoma and Trailblazers. Tacoma has a 25% pre-order discount, and Trailblazers has a 20% pre-order discount. So check that out. On the 15th, we have Laser League and Omen Sight, which is coming over to PS4 now, which is awesome. And then on the 22nd, Gorogoa, H1Z1, and NBA Playgrounds 2, all a part of the totally digital promo. All will have at least 20% pre-order discounts available to them. So get on there and pre-order those if you are interested. Yeah, but I love these spring promos. They always have some really cool games. They give you some good discounts with the pre-orders, and they always have this other subset of games that have discounts on them as well. So there's a bunch of titles on sale right now for the month as well. If you are looking for any of the cool games that are on there that you might not yet own. So get on the PlayStation Store, check out the totally digital promo, and pick up some of the stuff that you see on there. Brent, what are your thoughts on the promo, man? You looking forward to any particular games on this list?
Yeah, Omen Sight is one game that I'm curious about, just because I know Frankie has been really hyped
Yeah,
for that one.
super cool looking game.
Yeah, yeah. To Leave looks pretty interesting too.
Yeah,
And then I'm curious to see how NBA Playgrounds 2 plays out. I want to see how it improves on Playgrounds, because I actually thought Playgrounds was actually a pretty entertaining little game. It
yeah.
wasn't perfect, but I thought it was a cool little game. But I'll be curious to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, I'm curious about Playgrounds too as well, man. There's some features in here that are based around like the tournament play that I think sound really interesting. See
Hmm.
if I can find the write up on it here.
I believe it
So
also adds 4v4, or 4 players can play at once.
yeah, 4 players can play at once now, 2v2. So that's awesome. So here's a write up from the blog on here, and they say uh so they're talking about like this tournament system, and they were talking about how they would set up tournaments in Office, and they said that's why we created Playgrounds Championship for NBA Playgrounds 2. It's a worldwide online league with several divisions where you can climb the ladder to the top. You'll always know exactly where you stack up against other Playgrounds 2 players online and see yourself progress as you acquire skills. We made sure to include co-op leagues to climb the ranks with a friend as well, or go it alone in the solo league. So that sounds like that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If the gameplay is fun and the game's done right, like that could be awesome. And then yeah, Omen Sight is actually the new game from the Stories Path of Destinies team.
Hmm.
Obviously, we enjoyed that game when it came out some years back, and this game super cool look. Very very curious about that one as well. So my eye is on Omen Sight, just like Frankie. So good stuff there. We'll keep our eye on the promo. I'm sure they'll probably add some more stuff to this, some more games on sale, that kind of stuff as we move on here. But pretty strong lineup from what we've seen. Also coming on May 15th alongside Omen Sight is Goner, which is a game that's been out on the Switch. Interesting looking independent title. I'm sure we'll feature that on the channel at some point, probably on May 15th, along with Omen Sight. Brawl Out is the Smash Brothers type of game, which this looks great, man. It's got Juan in it from Guacamelee. It's got the
Hmm.
Hyper Light Drifter in it as well as guest characters. This game looks like a lot of fun. Obviously, heavily influenced by Smash Brothers. The developer did mention that they, in terms of their actual like fighting mechanics and their system, they're taking more, they think, from Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter than from Smash Brothers, but with the the level type of design of Smash Brothers and the goal to knock your opponent off a cliff. Have you seen any of Brawl Out, Brent? Any
Hmm.
interest on your end from this?
No.
No. Also, Disgaea 1 Complete is coming to the PlayStation 4 as well as the Switch. So this is cool. This is the original Disgaea that came out on the PlayStation 2 some years back, getting remastered for modern platforms. A lot of people excited about this one. I've never actually played a Disgaea game. This might be a good chance to get into the franchise here.
Mm-hmm.
And how about this, Brent? We have another Humble Bundle, another PlayStation Humble Bundle.
Uh-oh.
This one's pretty special. So this is a Capcom and Sega PlayStation Humble Bundle. So here's what you get in this bundle. It's pretty crazy. So on the pay what you want tier, you have Dead Rising for the PlayStation 4, Dust Force for the PlayStation Vita, Crazy Taxi for the PlayStation 3, and Super Monkey Ball Banana Splits for the Vita. In the Beat the Average tier, obviously you get those other games we just mentioned, plus Resident Evil 4 on PlayStation 4, Mega Man Legacy Collection on PlayStation 4, Resident Evil Code Veronica X on PlayStation 4, Sonic Generations for the PS3, Binary Domain for the PS3, Alien Isolation for the PlayStation 4, and also a series of coupons. So 40% off Resident Evil 7 Gold Edition, 50% off Dead Rising 4 for the PS4, 40% off Valkyria Revolution, and 50% off Yakuza 0. And then on top of that, if you pay $15 or more, you get Dead Rising 2 for the PS4 and Valkyria Chronicles Remastered for the PlayStation 4.
Wow.
What do you think about that bundle, man?
That's a hell of a bundle, and if I didn't already own like 70% of those games, I'd probably consider it. There's a lot of great titles. I mean, a lot of replayability in there too.
Yeah, I think I might own every single game on this list, maybe with the exception of maybe one or two here or there. But yeah, I own 90% of these games, so unfortunately I won't be able to take advantage of this. But man, when you see these humble bundles, like jump on these things.
Oh yeah,
like the money goes to a good cause. I remember that THQ one we bought some years back.
Yep.
That thing was loaded for $15 whatever we got in there, and this thing's loaded. You're getting 10, 15 games out of here for $15. One of these games in the bundle costs $15 by itself. So to get all that for $15 and them to just throw in a bunch of coupons for all these other like newer games that you can get for ridiculous discounts as well is pretty sick. So if you are at all interested in any of these titles and you have not yet jumped on this, make sure you hop on the Capcom Sega Humble Bundle, available only through May 8th. So jump on it.
Get on it. That's sweet. That's a really good bundle.
Yeah.
All right, moving on from PlayStation, we got some Xbox bulletins we want to discuss. First up, executive shakeups at Microsoft. The first being Albert Pinella, who has been with Microsoft for 18 years, is stepping down. 18 years. That's like from the beginning.
Yeah, that's a while.
So he took to Twitter and said this: "Today is a crazy day. I made the decision after 18 years to leave Microsoft. To say it's been a once-in-a-lifetime experience is an understatement. The team at Xbox has meant so much to me, and I'll be cheering them on. There is so much great stuff still to come." In a follow-up tweet, Pinella thanked Xbox fans for the years of support and feedback. Quote, "It's been awesome meeting and talking with so many of you. The fans are the energy that keeps the team going, so keep it up." During his time with Microsoft, Pinella drove marketing plans for the original Xbox, the 360, and the Kinect. In his most recent role, he led strategic marketing and planning for all Xbox devices, including the Xbox One, the S, as well as the X. So Pinella has been there for a long time, boys. He's been there from the beginning. He's an integral part of Microsoft over these last 18 years. Really big part of the marketing for these consoles that have released. Any thoughts on Pinella walking away?
Like you said, man, he's been a big ambassador for the brand over the years. Now, he was a name that was always out there tackling, some of the, the messaging and stuff for Microsoft. So, yeah, I wish him all the best. Obviously, he's been a big part of Xbox over the last, however many years Xbox has been on. It's been 15 years now for Xbox, something like that.
So, yeah.
Yeah, maybe even longer. So, it's been and Pinella's been there pretty much since the beginning. So I'm sure they're sad to see him move on, but we wish Albert the best, and I'm sure he's got something cool lined up if he's taken off from Xbox after 18 years.
All right, there's some kind of a lucrative offer because he had a pretty good gig at Microsoft. So
yeah.
No, that's awesome. He did a lot of great things for Xbox. He's been, like I said, he's been one of the most recognizable people for Xbox, especially on social media. He's
Yeah,
always in there. He was always mingling with people, always tweeting at folks and answering questions. Very good with the community. So, congratulations to him on his job at Microsoft, and hopefully future endeavors are just as successful.
indeed.
And also, we saw former Crystal Dynamics head Daryl Gallagher join Microsoft Studios. The former head of Tomb Raider developer at Crystal Dynamics has joined Microsoft Studios' executive leadership team. Microsoft Studios head Matt Booty shared the news on Twitter, saying, "I'm thrilled to welcome Darren Gallagher to Microsoft Studios' executive leadership team. Excited to share more at E3." Gallagher retweeted Booty's post saying, "Excited to be a part of the team. Good things to come at E3 2018. Xbox head Phil Spencer then expressed his excitement having Gallagher at Microsoft by retweeting his post and saying, "Always admired the work you've led and excited to have you joining the team. Welcome." In addition to serving as the studio head of Crystal Dynamics, Gallagher was also the head of product development and studios at Square Enix. At the end of 2018, or at the end of 2015, he parted ways with Square Enix to join Activision, where he served as the publisher's senior vice president and head of development until March of this year. So, boys, what do you take from this, man? I mean, this guy's a heavy hitter. He's been with Square Enix for quite a while. He served as a studio head at Crystal Dynamics. He was a big part of Rise of the Tomb Raider. What's your thoughts on him coming to Xbox, and what do you think his job is going to be here, man?
Yeah, I really have no idea what his official role is going to be or what he's going to oversee, but obviously he's a talented guy who's been involved with Crystal Dynamics and some of the good stuff that they've done with Tomb Raider over the last 5 years or so. So it's a big get for Microsoft, and obviously there's some stuff shifting around here up at the top, and I don't know if this points towards a new direction maybe that they're trying to go, or if there's a particular style or particular expertise that they want to employ from their executives to move the company forward. But I'm interested to see like what their plan is now moving forward for Microsoft, and specifically they mentioned E3 in there several times. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really curious what they're going to show, because we're kind of getting into this weird point now in
Mm-hmm.
the life cycle, Brent, where you know are studios working on games for the PS4 and the Xbox One, or are we shifting focus to the next generation of consoles, like the first party studios? Like, are they developing for the current consoles, or have they already moved on to the next one? Are they starting to look at what's coming down the line? I mean, we're almost 5 years into this current console cycle,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm really curious to see like how much new stuff they're going to show and how much new stuff that they have planned for the next couple years. And I don't know. It's just really interesting, and I wish these guys the best at Microsoft, and I'm sure that they've got some, or I guess the other guy left, so I wish this guy the best at Microsoft, and I'm sure that he's gonna bring a lot of talent and stuff to the table.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like they're investing in the Microsoft Studios because he's part of that executive leadership team. So he's going to have some
Yeah.
influence on what Microsoft Studios are going to be working on. What he's going to have influence on what types of games they're going to pursue. So this tells me that Microsoft is serious about trying to shake this image that their first party games are just not where they need to be.
Hmm.
And how do you do that? You bring in people who are very good at creating single player experiences like Tomb Raider. So, everyone's always talking about Microsoft. They're always focusing on multiplayer. Daryl Gallagher is very familiar with single player experiences. He's familiar with these types of franchises, and to put him in a position at Microsoft Studios and on the executive leadership team, that sounds like they're trying to pick his brain for some new experiences, new types of games that the fans really want.
Hmm. Yeah, I was curious about that as well, and is he gonna be like beating the drum for these like cinematic big time like action adventure experiences like he was a part of with the Tomb Raider games? Is he
Mm-hmm.
gonna bring that type of sensibility over to Microsoft? Is that what they're trying to do? Very curious to see what becomes of that. And I don't know, what do you think, man? I mean, at this point, the first parties, they got to be gearing up for the next Xbox, right? I mean, you have to assume that 343 maybe has one more Halo game in them for the
Mm-hmm.
Xbox One. But like the coalition, are they developing another Gears for this console, or do you think that they're looking towards the future now? Like just where we're at in terms of this generation, where we're getting close to where we're gonna start thinking about what's coming next.
Yeah, I mean that's could be something that he's being brought in. Like, hey, look, we've got a couple of titles here and there. We've got Crackdowns. You got the State of Decays. I'm sure they have a
Hmm.
Halo 6 that's going to be out this on Xbox One.
Yeah.
But maybe they're bringing them and say, hey, look, man, we need something at launch for the next system when next gen starts, presumably in 2020. We need some big titles. We need some big stuff, and maybe that's what they're bringing them in for, to set them up for the future of Xbox, of the brand, and not so much try to save what they can, of the Xbox One and try to deliver any big hits. Because I mean, between now and 2020, I can't see them bringing in a new studio and developing a whole new game. Just forever to release, unless it's a game that's going to not only run on Xbox One but also run on whatever the next hardware is. I mean, they could do that as well.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being a possibility.
So, congratulations to both those guys, both incoming and outgoing. Up next, No Man's Sky Xbox One release date might have been leaked by the Amazon Italy listing.
Amazon Italy been involved with a few of these recently. They're giving us the goods over there.
Yeah, they don't care. They're just going to post what they want to post. But they have this. They have No Man's Sky and Xbox One releasing on June 29th, ahead of 505's official confirmation. So they're showing that a June 29th release for No Man's Sky on Xbox One, boys. What do you think about that?
Sounds perfectly doable. I think this is a good kind of leisurely summer title for people to grab and get into. I still haven't played No Man's Sky. I know you weren't terribly fond of it. Bender really liked it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's something I still haven't fired up at all. Don't know if that's going to change anytime soon. But yeah, June 29th sounds like a fine day for me.
Yeah, it's perfect it's a perfect summer game, because after you play it for 5 minutes, you just go outside and enjoy the summer.
There you go.
Yeah, perfect. Sorry, Bender, I'm not sorry. Up next, Xbox Game Pass for May. We've got some new games being added to the list here, including the big release of the month, State of Decay 2, Pro Evolution Soccer 2018, Laser League, Overcooked, The Escapists, yay, Homefront, The Revolution, Unmechanical Extended, and Sonic and Knuckles. So some big titles heading to Xbox Game Pass in May. Boys, anything strike interest to you?
I mean, obviously, State of Decay is the big release. What is it, May 22nd on that?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what State of Decay 2 is all about. I'm really not like, I'm not like waiting on the edge of my seat for State of Decay 2. It's something I'll maybe try and hop in with you guys, but with with Destiny coming out earlier in the month, I'm going to be playing a lot of that throughout May, and with Detroit coming out a few days after that, State of
Mhm.
Decay is just not really on the radar. I'm curious though. Curious to see what it's all about. So I wouldn't mind firing it up for just at least to see what it has to offer on May 22nd.
Mhm. I'll be in there for sure, and I know Frankie will be as well. So maybe we'll get a stream up of us playing cooperatively and trying to kill a bunch of zombies.
I dig it.
And the last bit of Xbox news, the PUBG Miramar map is now available on test server. This is the desert theme map in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. It is now available on the dedicated test server. What you have to do is you actually have to go into the Microsoft Store and download the test server. It's not a part of the actual PUBG client. There's a separate client where you can download that to access this. Now, the test server will include the new map as well as new vehicles and weapons. As the map is in a pre-general release period of development during the test period, some aspects of the map may not function as expected. Connection to the public test server will only be available during specific periods, and players may experience extended wait times due to a limited pool of players. So, and also you have to actually own PUBG on Xbox One. You can't download the test server separately and try it out. You actually have to own the game in order to download and access the test server. So
Makes
that's
sense.
that's the desert map Miramar. I have not checked it out yet. I do have the client downloaded. I just haven't had a chance to hop in there and check out the new map. But from what I saw this map on streams, map looks really, really good. For a desert map, you think it'd just be desert, but there's actually some pretty cool spots to it. I'm curious to check this one out.
Yeah, I know some people that I've seen have seemed like they really like the map. At least on PC. I imagine it's going to be the same thing on the Xbox as well. So nice to because it's just the one map right now, right, with PUBG.
Yep.
So it'll be nice for people, I'm sure, to get another option in there that they can jump into instead of just one island map.
Those maps go a long way in a game with just one mode, dude. So you want to change up the maps. And so an additional map is going to be nice once that drops. I think that comes out in late May. is when the map should make its way into the rotation with PUBG. So,
Gotcha.
and last thing we want to talk about here, boys, and this is something that you've mentioned to me that you think is really, really cool about Fortnite, is for the last couple of weeks now, we've seen this story about this meteor that's appeared in the skies above the map on Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it appears that when season 4 starts, this comet's going to arrive. There's going to be some kind of event that's going to take place, but this has been going on for a month now. But now in game, the televisions scattered around the maps are now displaying an emergency broadcast, which is really, really cool. I think, like you mentioned, that's really cool when games do this stuff. I mean, first this thing appears in the sky, and everyone's like, "What is this thing? What's going on? What's happening here?" And as over the last couple of weeks, it's gotten bigger and it's bigger as it's getting closer and closer. And now the televisions in the game, as you're playing, have the emergency broadcast system playing. So they're really getting into this. They're really building up the mystery behind it. And then obviously Fortnite released a tweet where they have this image of, it says season 4 will begin soon, and there is a huge comet in the image. So clearly something is going to happen, and meteorites have actually begun hitting the map, boys. There are small meteorites that have been dropping on the map since April 6th. Structures that are hit, such as building or trees, are destroyed or damaged. So now you have these small meteorites dropping in on the map. We're getting close to season 4, boys. Any guess what's going to happen when this comet finally arrives?
I have no idea, man. I don't really know a whole lot about Fortnite, so I don't know what the possibilities are with this comet. But like you said, I just love stuff like this when developers do this. Like they didn't tell anybody anything about it. Just one day they just decided to start putting this comet up in the sky. People, play Fortnite all the time. They play every day. So they start to notice this, like, wait, that wasn't there before. What is that? And they see this comet and they're like, I don't know, maybe it's nothing. They come back the next day. It's still there. Then they come back a couple weeks later and it's getting bigger. And it's getting bigger and it's getting bigger. Now people are like, all right, something's going on with this thing. Now meteorites are starting to hit the earth, and now emergency broadcast messages are coming on the TVs. And they've been building up to it. I mean, it's been going on for what, a month and a half, something like that. So they've been building up to this for a while now. So it's just, this is one of the really cool things that you can do with a live game like this. You can get in there and get your hands and affect the game world in a live setting like this, and do cool stuff like this. But I absolutely love this. As far as what the comet's gonna do, I have no idea, man. There's been some talk that maybe this thing's gonna hit and shift the terrain around, and there might be a different look to the map or something. I don't know. That sounds like as good a theory as any, but I don't know if this is gonna factor into a game mode. I don't know if it's gonna be a PvE activity that you can get into. Like I said, I don't know a whole lot about Fortnite. I just know that this stuff's cool, that they do stuff like this.
Yeah, when I was reading that the televisions in the game world now have the emergency, I was like, that's so cool. I mean, that's so cool. You hop in there one day, and all of a sudden, you got the emergency broadcast system blaring on the television. I mean, that's creates it's a fun, it's mysterious, and it's kind of creepy.
Yeah,
so, yeah, it's very interesting. I actually like the PvE portion of Fortnite. I actually own that. I bought a founders pack like a while back, and I've been working my way through it slowly. But man, when I get into the Battle Royale, I'm just completely lost. I mean, when the way these people are building walls and buildings so quickly, it's just like I don't have that. I can't do it. And again, it's not a fault of the game. It's more of a me problem. But it's there's no doubt that this game is a sensation right now. So
yeah, I still got to get in there and experience this at some point. At some point, I need to figure out what the phenomenon's all about.
I really hope so, because I'm tired of playing the PvE stuff alone. So.
Yeah, well, I'd be willing to jump in there, man, because I do want to see what Fortnite's about.
Tell me when, dude. I'm ready. I have the game downloaded, ready to go. Just waiting on one of y'all to pick it up so we can play it.
Okay.
Cool. Well, that's going to do it for this week's show. We really appreciate the support. We appreciate you watching. Boys, where can we find you gaming and tweeting?
As always, Brent, I will be not tweeting at Piccolo930, probably even more so, as Twitter turns into more and more of a cesspool. Of course, that's my PSN ID as well. It's where you can find me on Switch and on the Xbox at Piccolo930. The Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight will be firing up at 10 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday on our YouTube channel. And this week, we're actually going to feature Phantom Trigger. The publisher of Phantom Trigger was gracious enough to provide us with a code to feature on the Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight, so we're gonna fire that one up. It's a game that just came out recently. I've been looking forward to that one. It came out on a Friday, so we didn't get a chance to feature it on the Spotlight.
Mhm.
But now that we have access to it, we're gonna fire it up. It's a game that I've been curious about and want to play some more. It's got like some action hyper light drifter kind of vibe to it, so I'm looking forward to playing that one on Tuesday.
Cool. I'll be checking it out with you. I'll join you in the chat this week too.
Sounds good.
Cool, man. You can find me on Twitter at the Dude 1979, Xbox Live, the Real Dude 79, and PlayStation Network, the Nintendo Switch, the Dude 79. Make sure you visit the website www.shortpause.com. Follow us on Twitter at the Short Pause. Anytime we go live on Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, or anything, we usually post a link from our Twitter handle. So make sure you follow us there. You can listen to this podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Google Play, or Stitcher. If you like this podcast, if you really like it, go over to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. It helps the show get exposure. It does well for us. We really appreciate it. If you're not ready to give us a 5-star rating, that's cool. We don't want any fake ones. We want to earn it. If you have some criticisms, feedback, suggestions, anything, hit us up, podcast@shortpause.com, or head over to the website and find the post for this podcast. Sound off in the comments below. We read those every day. Let us know. We need to hear from you. It's the only way the show is ever going to get better. You can also watch this podcast on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. All of those, Short Pause Gaming. For Mr. Boyce, I'm Brent Felsing. Thank you again for watching and listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. We'll talk to you next week. Good night, everybody.
See you guys.